In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism. Speak out against injustice. And fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is Blood Politics. And we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet. And we ain't gonna be scared. And we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is Blood Politics. And it ain't about left or right. It ain't about Dem or Republican. It's about right and wrong. It's about us versus them. This is Blood Politics. And we gonna do what we gotta do.
What's up, guys?
Because
Let's
ain't
hop right
nobody...
into it. What's up? What's happening? How's everybody doing? Welcome back. Another Sunday episode of the Blunt Politics Podcast. Lots to talk about, lots to discuss. My name's Brian. I do appreciate you for joining me, for taking the time out of your day to try to figure out what the hell is going on in the news, what's going on with this world, what is Donald Trump doing to this country, what madness is he posting, what kind of useful fucking tits on a bull has J.D. Vance been as far as these negotiations in Islamabad. We'll be talking about it all. We'll be talking about, obviously, like I said, the Iran negotiations failing, Donald Trump's post in kind of, order to blockade the Strait of Hormuz, what that's going to entail, what's going to be the retaliation to that, yet to be determined. Obviously, we'll be discussing. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. We also have Donald Trump crumbling on with Maria Bartiromo this morning. There's a bunch of clips to come out of that one, so kind of curious as to, any further. I know we're not going to get any insight, but any craziness that he's talking about, as ridiculous as the nonsense is, it is kind of prudent upon us to continue to at least listen to what the guy's talking about and at least hear what he's typing. Again, if he's going to be out there, threatening war crimes and genocide and the erasure of an entire civilization, it's probably something we should cover, probably something we should stay up on. So we'll be talking about that. Kaylin Robertson is going to give us a good look into, the Hungary election, Viktor Orban's election, which I believe is taking place today, if I'm not mistaken, April 12th, 2026. So we'll be taking a look at that. Obviously important as it pertains to, Vladimir Putin's control, the war in Ukraine. Lots to come from that. Obviously, J.D. Vance was just over there shaking hands with Orban as well. There's obviously some frontline footage coming from an international legion. If we leave ourselves enough time, kind of gives us a good look into some, English-speaking, troops and soldiers on the front lines. And then there's a bunch of other things that we have to discuss as well. But what do you say, you guys? Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 20K before we get to the midterm election so we can throw the most weight behind our punches when we start kicking the ass, or continue kicking the ass of the GOP, I should say. But before we get into the craziness, what do you say we bring in the old chat? I appreciate you guys, as always, for all of your help, all of your support. Thank you guys for everything. Oh, you guys deserve to be a little bigger than that. That's a shame. That's a shame. There you go. What's going on, guys? What's up, Yakov? Thank you for your help down there, brother. Appreciate you. What's going on, Tiff? What's going on, Alyosha? What's going on to all the mods that I have here? Thank you guys so much for what you do and sticking with me. What's going on, Alvin? What's up, Romulan? What's going on, everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and Substack? Make sure, again, like I said, hit that like button, the thumbs up. Even a thumbs down. Even if you hate what you're watching, you don't like what you're watching, but for some reason you're watching it, that's going to help the algorithm too. So tell me how much you hate me. Tell me how much I suck. It all goes to help the same category. So thank you guys so much. What's going on, Susie? What's up, Gamer? What's going on, Ellen? I appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that. Oh, what's going on, Tig? Make sure you hit that like button on the way in. Very, very much appreciated. Yes, absolutely. Fingers crossed for Hungary. I second that as well. All right, so lots to dive into. Unfortunately, the first thing that I do want to touch base upon today, which I'm sure you guys have heard the story I'm sure you guys have been made aware of the allegations. I'm sure you guys have been made aware of the news story. But just to touch base on this, I just want to throw my 2 cents in there. I don't think this should be very fucking difficult. Anybody that saw the video I posted either to Instagram or YouTube Shorts already know kind of where I stand on this. It shouldn't be difficult. This is something that should be easily called out as at the very least, as far as demanding instant investigations. I think the allegations coming from the at least 4 women here, not only that, but the position of power that he held over the women, considering they worked on his staff. The allegations as to the inappropriate pictures that was sent, the seeming kind of admission by Eric Swallwell to at least, cheating on his wife, the ample videos that have been going around. I don't think this should be very hard for anybody, at least on the side of the party that is supposed to hold themselves to a higher account, a higher standard, especially as we've been rightfully, I will put out there, rightfully calling out Donald Trump for his involvement in the Epstein files, calling out Donald Trump for his, egregious language and rhetoric about grabbing women by the crotch, the disgusting shit he said about his daughter, all of the Republican politicians, and the conservative people that have been wrapped up in the different child pornography cases, investigations, all of the things. We cannot be, demanding accountability and justice for things like that while letting shit like this slide on our own side. And, I'm happy that we do, in fact, hold our side to a higher standard. And you can tell that by the reaction on here. The support has been withdrawn. We cannot fuck around with allegations like this, especially from the multiple women that have come out. Not only that, but the positions, like I said, the position of power that he held over them, just not the type of person, as unfortunate as it is for whoever was, either living in that state or, liked Eric Swalwell or liked his messaging or whatever it may be. It shouldn't be difficult for us to come out against this. I'm kind of happy to see that there's been a lot of people speaking up online, rightfully so, and again, demanding investigations. But I think even the carelessness, even the unprofessionalism, even the actions that again, Eric Swalwell has seemingly tacitly admitted to in his little videos that he's put out, and how his wife, him and his wife have kind of talked about things. So clearly something has gone on. This is a reputation that has kind of followed him around to a certain extent. So again, I just think it shouldn't be too difficult for men on our side to come out and say absolutely believe the women, especially at a time where not only is this government, but the media atmosphere in general is making it so increasingly difficult, if not impossible, for women to come out and speak about their assaulters, the people that have assaulted them in the past, because of fear of not believing them, kind of the detriment to their life that they've seen as far as retaliation by these people with big bank accounts, people that control media organizations. We've seen kind of the ringer that the Epstein victims have been drugged through. Just the idea that you may come out and the DOJ and the FBI aren't going to help you, aren't going to believe you, aren't going to even give you a fucking second to meet with you and speak to you about what you've been through. When the evidence, whatever evidence has come out, does come out, there's no further investigations to be sought. So all of this goes to, make women in general less likely to want to come out, to want to risk their livelihoods, their careers, and accuse these high profile people, or anybody in general for that matter, right? It doesn't matter if they're high profile or anything. It's just as detrimental to the woman, to the person that's been abused in that situation. So again, just to kind of reiterate, it's sucky situation, obviously, but it shouldn't be fucking very difficult to land on the right side of this, considering the things we espouse, about the Republicans and conservatives that we know that are engaged a lot of the time in this, in this behavior. Obviously, with Donald Trump and Howard Lutnick and anybody else involved in the Epstein files, it's just we can't be hypocrites. So I'm trying to withhold those standards and trying to remain principled, basically. So I just wanted to start off with that. Because obviously that was huge headlines that's been making the rounds. So to not talk about that, I feel like would be absolutely egregious, and that's not something that we're doing here at Blunt Politics. I don't care who the fuck you are. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what the fucking letter is at the end of your name. I don't care what the bank account looks like. If you're out doing this shit, If you're out there causing detriment to our society, if you're being racist, bigoted, if you're assaulting women, if you're acting just like every single one of these scumbags that we've called out in the past, then you're going to get fucking called out too. That's just how it goes. That's how it works. And if that pisses you off, then you're in the wrong fucking place. So my apologies. Sorry, not fucking sorry. All right. So as far as that goes, let's just see if we can dive onto the latest news, the latest fucking nonsense, the latest bullshit. I mean, it's as we expected, right? This isn't kind of like the outcome of the Islamabad talks isn't like shocking to anybody that they didn't come to some like huge resolution, that there wasn't some like amazing peace deal you can tell both sides went into this kind of, with bravado, bragging about how much leverage that they had, kind of, peacocking their way in. Donald Trump sent J.D. Vance and Witkoff and, a couple other schmucks. Meanwhile, Iran sent pretty much the entire fucking country. I'm pretty sure they showed up with like the entire delegation. Anybody that held any power in Iran showed up to Islamabad, I'm pretty sure. But, as far as what both sides were saying going into these talks, they were both pretty much trying to play off like each had won this already. Both, to an extent, both sides of this are delusional to a point. I mean, that has to really be talked about as well. Like, that's something we have to admit. And we all know about the delusions and have spoken about the delusions of the United States as far as like the victory, the overwhelming victory they think they've achieved. But to a certain extent, Iran is very delusional as it pertains to this as well. You know what I mean? Like, they have been really kind of lessened militarily. It's just that our government, our people, our military, and the leaders of that didn't seem to have in mind a kind of a plan B or any way to stop whatever control, whatever act of pressure that Iran did have to put on the world economy and to put on the oil trade. You know what I mean? So both sides right now are kind of acting like delusional people as far as this is concerned. But again, not really a surprise that the talks didn't go anywhere. And again, coming from that more escalatory language, more escalatory rhetoric from Donald Trump, which we'll dive into as far as his Truth Social post. But hit that like button. We're going to dive into here. This is just a quick CNN video kind of detailing what came out of the talks. I think they give a couple clips here about J.D. Vance and what he said about the talks. And then they kind of, there's a few videos that I have here where people are trying to kind of, speculate what's to come, what this means, what the blockade is actually going to entail, what that means for oil prices going forward. Are the Iranians going to now activate their proxies so that they can control the Bab el-Mandeb Strait? And just kind of, make the United States government look in a different direction. Like, you never know what's going to come for this. Both sides are seemingly pretty erratic, one lesser than the other. And again, I'll let you decide which side that is. But again, this is J.D. Vance. This is CNN with just a quick couple minutes on the details of what came out of the talks, or I should say, what didn't come out of the talks. And this is titled "Vance Delivers Bad News After 21 Hours of Talks with Iran." So let's just see if we can dive into a couple minutes of this, pick up any details we might have left out, see if there's anything we need to pick up on even further. So appreciate you guys. Thank you. Hit that like button. Like I said, try to subscribe. If you're not subscribed, I know a lot of people continue to watch, and that's awesome. And I appreciate you guys for liking, but subscribe to the channel too. It helps a lot. It doesn't cost you a single cent. And again, like I said, it tells the algorithm that not only do you enjoy coming back, but you want to be a part of the community as well. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to the chat. Let's dive into it.
We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
The U.S. delegation is now.
And again, this just continues to show the amount of leverage and power the Iranians do have in this, right? To be able to feel like they have enough power in this to go into these negotiations, again, demanding that 10-point peace plan be the basis, be the thing that the United States agreed upon. Not only that, but to continue on to push the pressure that they have on the Strait of Hormuz, to demand the continuing, the tolls that they're demanding, like all of these things, to not agree to, the demands, all of the demands to the United States right off the bat, just goes to show you how much leverage they believe that they have in this game, in this war. It's crazy to think that this is the position that we're in when just 7 plus weeks ago, the situation and the metrics and by every calculation, everything was much different, and we're just much worse off now by every metric. It's crazy. But I just want to go into a few of these. A few more seconds of this to see what they take out of this, kind of what do they believe is going to come from this, what this means. And then I want to go into obviously Donald Trump's ridiculous and crazy Truth Social post that he's had come out since. And then, like I said, he was on with Maria Bartiromo. So I want to see what insanity he had to say as far as that's concerned. So let's just a minute or two of this.
Left Islamabad after unsuccessful marathon peace talks with Iran. Pakistan, though, vows it will continue to mediate between Washington and Tehran, quote, in the coming days. Iranian media reports Tehran is in no hurry to get back to the negotiating table. That's according to a source close to the Iranian delegation. And until the U.S. agrees...
just another thing that tells you that they feel like they have the upper hand here, right? They're not desperate to get back to the negotiating table. They feel like the longer this goes, the more control that they have over the Strait. Again, whatever this means as far as Donald Trump's blockade and what's going to come from that, obviously, is going to be a big escalation, is seemingly going to be a big switch up. So we'll have to keep, obviously, our eye, closely gleaned on that as well. But, as far as, a message coming from inside the Iranian delegation, as far as like, fuck it, we don't care. We didn't come to a conclusion. We didn't come to a resolution. Doesn't really matter to us. We seemingly have all the cards here, again, directly standing in the face of what Donald Trump posted the other day, saying that the Iranians don't hold the cards, which, again, multiple people, multiple nations, pretty much everybody on the world stage recognizes. I showed you guys the other day. I'll refrain from playing any of the clips from, John Fetterman, again, being on with Fox News. The guy's on with Fox News more than some of the fucking Fox anchors at this point. But he went on to talk about how this gas crisis, the fuel crisis, isn't real. But I went on and I showed you guys a video the other day of a YouTube channel that I watched to escape politics, to escape all of the madness, to kind of, to filter away for an hour or two or whatever, the length of the video might be. And again, they were even talking about how the fuel crisis in Europe, I believe they were in Germany, heading onto the Autobahn, talking about how there was gas stations that had, limited you to the amount of fuel that you could have if they did have fuel. Not only that, but they did the calculations, and they were in fact paying somewhere near like $10 or more per gallon for fuel. And that was, again, before they got nearer to the Autobahn, which is, historically more expensive. I think they say you can even add something like 30% onto the $10 per gallon. So again, to suggest, and this isn't even taking into account the Asian markets as well. So to suggest that like the fuel crisis and the pinch and the pressure that we've seen on multiple nations, multiple continents at this fucking point isn't real. It just goes to show you the insanity and how brain dead and how out of touch with reality people like John Fetterman are, people like Donald Trump are, people like Pete Hegseth are, who are continuously kind of repeating the same talking point that everything's much better than you and I see with our own eyes, right? So it's amazing that people around the world can see what's taking place. It doesn't take much to sift through the bullshit, yet the United States government continues to suggest that they have the upper hand, flying in the face of, again, everything that you and I have seen happen thus far.
To what Tehran deems a reasonable deal, they say the Strait of Hormuz will effectively remain closed. Well, CNN's Nick Robertson with more now from Islamabad.
So this is where we just heard from the vice president. No deal on the talks with Iran over 16 hours, an absolute marathon session through the night here in the center of Islamabad. It is dawn now. When the talks began on Saturday, it was late afternoon.
Well, again, just seems like a complete waste of time, as it were. They talked seemingly all through the afternoon, all through the night, and into the wee hours of the morning, as it's being reported here. But again, nothing substantive coming from it. No resolution, no peace deal, no anything like that, which is, again, no surprise to anybody that's been following this or was listening to each side as they went into these negotiations. It's just, again, they couldn't be further apart in the way that they're both kind of, again, claiming victory. One says that they have our upper hand. The other says that they have the upper hand. The other says that the other has no cards. The other says that the other, it's back and forth as it pertains to that much as well. But, as far as escalatory shit and kind of like, just the ridiculousness of the situation, look no further than what Donald Trump has been not only involved in, but what he's been posting over the last, few hours on True Social. And of course, they're going to make me verify that I'm a human once more, as they typically do, because they're assholes. But again, this is the type of shit that Trump has been posting, right? We'll go over his long screeds that he had, which is, again, threatening to escalate the war. But alongside all of, the madness that he's stoking and chaos that he's stoking on the world stage, what else do you think Donald Trump's posting on his fucking Truth Social? Of course, he's going to be doing banners. Of course, he's going to be doing promotion, for the UFC Freedom 250 that's going to be happening at the White House. Again, I keep saying that we live in a fucking simulation right now. To one day, hopefully, we're just going to wake up and bash our heads against the wall, and this is all going to be one big fucking bad dream at some point. But we're talking about war. We're talking about world instability, destabilization as far as the Middle East is concerned, the possible, and potential threat to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, if in fact this does escalate to the point where we're attacking, the fresh water, we're attacking energy infrastructure, we're attacking railways, bridges, roads, with the whole 9 yards. Along with that has to be talked about and is being kind of, perpetrated by this maniac on True Social. We got this shit. You know what I mean? It's just it doesn't make sense. It doesn't get any crazier, right? It does not get any crazier than this. We're at war, possible World War III coming soon. Also coming soon, UFC to the White House. You know what I mean? You see the timeline that we're in and how fucking ridiculous it is, and the I told you so's that we could still put out there as being well, this is what you were going to get, right? You vote in a fucking lunatic, you vote in a madman, you vote in a guy whose brain leaked out of his fucking loafers a long goddamn time ago, and this is what you get. You get him appointing the fucking drunk, alcoholic woman abuser that couldn't make the weekday couch on Fox News, had to fucking, be relegated to the weekend couch, and put him in as Secretary of Defense. What did you think was going to fucking happen, right? What the fuck did you think was going to happen? You put in things people like Marco Rubio, who was very intent on not allowing Donald Trump to take control of the Republican Party. Hold on. I have a couple, one of his, he said, what did Marco say before? He's got, I'm not going to allow Donald Trump to take over the Republican Party, right? I think it's something.
I can just tell you that a con artist is about to take over the Republican Party and the conservative movement, and we have to put a stop to it.
So we're going to put a stop to a con artist taking advantage or taking over the Republican Party. But also now he's going to praise the guy. He's working right alongside him in his administration. These are the people that you put into power and put your trust in. And now you're shocked that we're in this position. No, we told you so 1,000 fucking times over. So again, no pats on the back, no empathy, no sympathy, no compassion to anybody now all of a sudden coming out of their bubble, seeing the light of Jesus Christ. Oh, we fucked up. You know what I mean? Oh shit, I was lied to. I was propagandized. Oh my God. The people on the left were right all along. Again, yes, we were, but fuck off for getting us in this position. So not only is Donald Trump posting UFC bullshit, but again, let's see if we can dive into a couple of these crazy posts that he's had. I believe this was the first one that people were speaking about. He goes on to say, fucking hell. So there you have it. The meeting went well. Most points were agreed to, but the only point that really mattered, nuclear, was not. Effective immediately, the United States, the finest in the world, will begin the process of blockading all in capitals, any and all ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. At some point, we will reach a, quote, all being allowed to go in, all being allowed to go out basis. That was all capitalized and in quotes. But Iran has not allowed that to happen by merely saying, quote, there may be a mine out there somewhere, end quote, that nobody knows about them. Jesus Christ, this thing is like written by a third grader. This is world extortion, all in capitals, and leaders of countries, especially the United States of America, will never be extorted. I have also instructed our Navy to seek and interdict every vessel in international waters that has paid a toll to Iran. No one who has paid an illegal toll will have safe passage on the high seas. Don't know what that means. Is he going to shoot down? Is he going to sink ships that have, again, paid the toll to Iran so that they could have safe passage, so that they could continue their trade, so that we could continue to function at some level as a fucking society? You know what I mean? Is he going to, what's the deal here? He's going to seize the ships. He's going to confiscate the ships. Again, this is insane on so many different levels. And there's so many little like Easter eggs in here that you have to dissect. Then they get bypassed so easily because of all the nonsense. Again, the Steve Bannon effect of like throw all the bullshit at him at once. And, inevitably some of it will get through. Well, this is, again, that's how you kind of, right, that's how you describe these posts. What else does he say? Here he goes. Destroying the mines. He said, we will also begin destroying the mines that the Iranians laid in the Straits. Any Iranian who fires at us or at a peaceful vessels will be blown to hell in all caps, of course, with an exclamation point. Iran knows better than anyone how to end being capitalized, this situation, which has already devastated their country. Their Navy is gone. Their Air Force is gone. Their anti-aircraft and radar are useless. Again, do we have to go back to not very long ago where we were talking about a rescue mission, or at least a supposed fucking rescue mission, because of some aircraft that was shot down? Again, were they shot down with spitballs? Was it kids with fucking stones taking the F-15s down, taking the A-10s down? I'm just curious. I'm just saying, it doesn't really make much sense. And Khomeini, hold on. Khomeini? Their Navy is gone. Their Air Force is gone. Their anti-aircraft and radar are useless. Khomeini and most of their leaders are dead. Does he mean... Wait a minute. That was... Is he getting confused? The Ayatollah and Khomeini at this point? I don't know. Who the fuck knows? His brain is fried. I wouldn't be surprised if, again, he was trying to, if he just misspoke or forgot about who was who at this point in time. But again, I think he's mixing up the Ayatollah that they killed in at this point. But as most of their leaders are dead, all because of their nuclear ambition, the blockade will begin shortly. All countries will be involved with this blockade. Iran will not be allowed to profit off this illegal act of extortion being capitalized. They want money, and more importantly, they want nuclear. Additionally, and at an appropriate moment, we are fully, quote, locked and loaded, being capitalized, and our military will finish up the little that is left of Iran. Again, signed dickhead of the President of the United States. So again, talking about being locked and loaded. Obviously here talking about the blockade, again, what exactly that's going to entail. You heard him there say that he wasn't going to allow the free passage, the safe passage of any ship that apparently had paid the toll to Iran to have safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz. What the fuck does that mean? Again, is he going to instruct the United States Navy to shoot and strike, any vessel that has paid the toll? Are they going to confiscate all the ships? Again, remains to be seen. We're going to have to keep an eye on it as far as that's concerned as well. But I think he had another one here that people are discussing. Let me see. Was it this one right here? I think it might have been this one as well, where he goes on to say, Iran promised to open the Strait of Hormuz, and they knowingly failed to do so. This caused anxiety, dislocation, and pain to many people and countries throughout the world. They say that they put mines in the water, even though all of their Navy and most of their mine droppers, still call them the mine droppers, by the way. Nobody in the military stepped in to be like, sir, you sound like an asshole. Like, just come on. There's real names for these things. Like, you don't have to sound like a fucking twat every time you go out there. Have been completely blown up. They may have done so, but what ship owner would want to take the chance? There is a great dishonor and permanent harm to the reputation of Iran and what's left of their leaders. But we are beyond all of that. As they promised, they better begin the process of getting the international waterway open and fast, all capitalized. Every law in the book is being violated by them. I have been fully debriefed by Vice President J.D. Vance, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner, who has absolutely no fucking position whatsoever, on the meeting that took place in Islamabad through the kind and very competent leadership of Field Marshal Asim Munir and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif of Pakistan. They are extraordinary men and continuously thank me. So it sounded like he was going to go on to thank them, but instead he talks about how much they thank him. This fucking guy. They are very extraordinary men and continuously thank me for saving 30 to 50 million lives in what would have been a horrendous war with India. I appreciate hearing that. The amount of humanity spoken is incomprehensible. The meeting with Iran began early in the morning and lasted throughout the night, close to 20 hours. I could go into great detail and talk about much that has been gotten, but there is only one thing that matters. Iran is unwilling to give up its nuclear ambitions in many ways. The points that were agreed to are better than us continuing our military operations to conclusion, but all of those points don't matter compared to allowing nuclear power to be in the hands of such volatile, difficult, unpredictable people. Sounds like he's describing himself to a T as far as that's concerned. My three representatives, as all of this time went by, became, not surprisingly, very friendly and respectful of Iran's representatives, Mohammad Baghir Ghalibaf, Abbas Araghchi, and Ali Bagheri. But that doesn't matter because they were very unyielding as to the single most important issue. And as I've always said right from the beginning, and many years ago, Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. So again, talking about the meeting there and the failures of the talks with J.D. Vance and the Iranian delegation. Let me just see if there's anything else that he's kind of, I'll refresh for a second, see if he's kind of posted anything else while we're digging into the nonsense, digging into the bullshit. Nope, just seems like he retweeted those a couple times as far as that goes. But again, the clear escalation here and what could come from, the blockade that Donald Trump's talking about obviously remains to be seen. What Iran's going to do in retaliation, what it means for ships that actively do want to travel through the Strait and, are willing to pay this so-called toll to the Iranians. Are we going to seize the ships? Are we taking the ships and the oil? Are we shooting upon the ships? I wouldn't put that past this regime either. So again, it remains to be seen, but obviously something we're going to have to keep our eye on very closely. But again, while this is going on, ladies and gentlemen, what's Donald Trump really spending his time doing? Is he stuck in the fucking Oval Office trying to figure out a diplomatic solution to everything that he's now gotten us involved in, right alongside with Benjamin Netanyahu and Jared Kushner, who he continues to fucking, applaud, even though, again, he got us into this fucking situation in the first place? No, that's not what he's doing, of course. He's at the UFC event with Dana White. Again, not getting the reception that I think he was going to get. But you know what I mean? It doesn't matter because he's got plenty of time to be out there with the people. There's absolutely no world events or geopolitical, situations that need to be tended to. There's nothing going on in this country as far as the economy or rise in gas prices or rise in, basically everything as far as that's concerned. So he doesn't have to worry about that. There's nothing else going on. Pretty much peace everywhere. The lowest prices ever seen in the history of the world. He's ended all the wars he needs to end. So, of course, he's going to have some free time to either golf or head to fucking, a UFC fight. I mean, everybody just get off his back, will you, for Christ's sakes? But no, of course, obviously at one of the most dangerous times, in recent memory, again, at the hands of Donald Trump. He's spending more time with in thinking about UFC fights, whether now traveling to the UFC fights or planning the UFC fight that's going to take place at the White House. Here's a short clip of Donald Trump walking into that event with Dana White. And again, don't think it was quite the reception he expected. Obviously, as we know, I'm sure if you polled the audience to a certain extent, they would be favorable to Trump. But again, I don't think it was I don't think it was the percentage that he was expecting. So again, this is just a clip of him walking in to a UFC event with all of the madness going on, with all of the chaos that he's responsible for, with all of the fucking pain that you are now feeling, with all of the pain that all of these countries are now feeling, again, because of this asshole. What's he doing? No, he's at the UFC.
And then our main event, of course. And with us in the building tonight, the 45th and now 47th president.
Who's that? Is that Ivanka in the background too? This looks like it might be Kai Trump, his granddaughter. Is this Ivanka? I can't tell.
Of the United States of America, Donald J.
Yep, and that looks like Tiffany right here.
Trump.
Don Jr. behind him. So again, obviously people cheering in there, but you can definitely tell to a certain extent, not the overwhelming reception that he was expecting. Definitely some boos thrown in there, loud enough that they were audible to the camera, audible to the microphone to be picked up. So again, just to show you what our, fucking delusional president is involved in, what he's taken part in, while, again, everybody's worried about, what's going to take place with the world, at this moment in time. Again, the uncertainty of the moment, the madness of the people that are now leading this moment, again, just leading everybody to anxiety. Everybody's curious. Everybody's trying to, rip their faces off to find the news and figure out what's going to come next. Things are going to get much worse before they get better. It seems like with this threat of the blockade, I think that's something that we don't really have to speculate on anymore. I think it's likely to get worse, way before it gets better as far as this is concerned. But let me see here. Let me see if there's anything else that was posted that we have to check out as far as that's concerned. Let me see here. I think I have this one pulled up too. Yeah, let's check out this, because not only did Donald Trump come out on True Social with those posts that he had, but apparently, I should say, he was on with Maria Bartiromo this morning, which led to what looked to be a substantial amount of clips, which means it was a substantial amount of craziness. So I just want to see if we could flip through a little bit or a couple of those clips, again, just to see what this asshole's saying, see if there's anything or any insight he's giving as far as what this blockade means, what the blockade's going to entail, or if, again, he's just going completely off the fucking, off the trail, if he just walks this into a completely different place with Maria. Again, it doesn't seem like anybody can control this asshole as far as these like phone-in conversations are concerned, as we talked about the other day, where he called in with like Fox and Friends. They were asking him about the plight of the Iranian people, and he went on to talk about Dana Perino's meeting that she had with him when she was like 11 years old. They had lunch at Trump Tower or something like just, again, a little example of how this guy is just completely shot as far as cognitive abilities are concerned. But yeah, we're having trouble streaming to Facebook. This may be an issue on Facebook's end. Is this possible? Is it possible the stream was ended on or deleted on Facebook? Well, I didn't delete it or end it on Facebook. I know that. So I'm not really sure. Let me see if I can remove it. I'll remove it for a second, and then I'll go here and I'll put it back up and see if that works. Sorry, Facebook. I don't know what just happened. Failed to post Facebook. Here's what Facebook said. Blocked from using this feature because you shared something that isn't allowed on Facebook. What did I share that wasn't allowed on Facebook? What the hell was that all about? Remove this destination from the stream. Sorry, guys. Give me a second. I don't know what the hell that even... What was it? Is Kid Rock's song maybe copyrighted or something like that? Wasn't really much of it playing in the background. Plus, I was talking over it, right? Let me just try this one more time. See if I can add in Facebook and put it back live. Save changes. Nope, not going to let me do it. Not going to let me do it. Failed to post to Facebook. Here's what Facebook said. It says you're temporarily blocked from using this feature because you shared something that isn't allowed on Facebook. Learn more. Well, I'm obviously not going to learn more at this moment in time because I'm trying to do the goddamn show. So, unfortunately, doesn't look like we'll be on Facebook for the rest of the show unless I try again in a couple minutes and maybe it resets or something. I don't know. I didn't show really anything that I thought would be detrimental to Facebook as far as that's concerned. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. Your truthful opinion. Facebook doesn't like that. I'm not sure. I mean, all I did was play the walkout. The only thing I can think of is the Kid Rock song in the background. But like I said, there was people talking over it. I was talking over it. I stopped it a bunch of times. I don't know. Let me know. I've really never had that issue before. I'll try again. Like I said, remind me in a couple minutes to try on Facebook because I feel bad anybody that's not able now to watch on Facebook. But again, if you have if you have YouTube, Twitch, or Instagram or anything like that, you are still able to watch over there just in case you're still catching this. All right, let's throw a couple of these clips on because, like I said, Trump was on with Maria Bartiromo. And again, we got to decipher and figure out what the hell he's talking about as far as this fucking blockade of the Strait, of ships going in and out, stopping ships and not allowing safe passage, as he says, of ships that have, evidently paid the $2 million or whatever it is to Iran and have been, allowed, granted safe passage through the Strait. So again, let's just see if we can get anything from this. It says, this is Trump on the phone with Maria Bartiromo. We don't get our oil from there. We have so much oil. We have boats pouring up to the United States. They'll be filling them up. They'll be leaving, and they'll be packed with the best oil you can get, light, sweet, crude. Let's just see what bullshittery he's trying to pull here on with Maria Bartiromo.
2 mines, 10 mines. And that will, if you have a ship that costs $1 billion, you say, well, I'd prefer not getting whacked by a mine, losing my ship, or damaging it badly, at least. And so that's a little bit of a thing that they can do. That it's military might and military power don't do it, but it's extortion. and they're extorting the world. You know, we don't get our oil from there. We have so much. And one thing you said, and I don't know if anybody heard it well. But
I mean, would he not categorize the ability to put fucking mines in the Strait as like military capabilities? I mean, because I'd throw it in that category, right? If they're going to have the ability to go out with ships controlled by the Navy or by the fucking IRGC or by the, the government itself, like I would throw that into the military category as far as being able to stop shipment to be able to, again, put mines in the Strait that's supposed to be international waters, free of travel and stuff like that. So again, I think I would put that as far as I know Donald Trump wants to have you, believe that all of their military capabilities have been eradicated as he's been talking about. But again, that's been put to rest. That's been put to bed, several hundred times at this point, considering the amount of retaliatory strikes we've seen, the amount of planes shot down, obviously the detriment to, the allied, areas in the region, the bases in the region, etc.
Boats pouring up to the United States. They'll be filling them up, and they'll be leaving, and they're going to be packed with the best oil you can get, light, sweet crude. They're going to have the best oil that you can get. But,
and again, this is just utterly ridiculous and not taking into account by any stretch of the imagination that the United States does not produce enough oil to maintain the entire fucking world's, need, the necessity for oil around the world, while also taking care of what we need, the needs that we have here in the United States. And again, if you're just going to talk about the fact that the United States doesn't need the Strait of Hormuz, and again, we're just going to leave all of our allies, we're going to leave all of our economic trade partners basically out there to rot. Let them fend for themselves in the situation that we inevitably started, the situation that we inevitably got them into, as far as the pressure they're now feeling economically. So Donald Trump just out there like, well, fuck it. We don't care. You know what I mean? Other countries, the Asian markets, and obviously the European markets, they can deal with it. Right? The United States doesn't give a fuck. We're going to be pumping light, sweet crude, out of our anus. We're going to be fucking, it's going to be coming out everywhere, And again, he trying to now, suggest that even if the Strait stays closed, the United States is going to be able to pump and fulfill all of the needs and necessities of all of these countries around the world that aren't now getting their oil through the Strait. And it's just fucking not true. It's not a possibility. That's just not where we are as far as that capabilities as the United States. We're not just going to sit here and take care of the rest of the fucking world because Iran now has huge control, huge leverage over international waterways because of the fucking bumbling and fumbling that Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu have fucking been involved in as far as this war with Iran. You know what I mean? It's just it's craziness that he's even suggesting like, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. Like, fuck our allies, fuck everybody in Asia, fuck everybody in Europe now that doesn't have gas or is limited to, a certain amount of gas and is paid an exorbitant amount for that gas that they're getting. It's fucking crazy. It really is. But there's a bunch of these clips here, so not to spend too much time on a single one. This is where he references the blockade. So again, I'm just curious as to what insight we can get. I know the word insight is ridiculously used in this situation because there's no insight to be gleaned from anything Donald Trump says. But again, at least points us in the direction as to what, like, the one single brain cell that may possibly be floating around in his head, like which way that's pointed as far as like, which way it's going to take his body, what he's going to do and say next. Like, this is kind of the only way that we can get there, right? There's really no other way to tell. So, all right, let me just see what he says here about the blockade. Again, if there's any other details he's willing to divulge.
But, Mr. President, you wrote on Truth Social this morning saying that we will begin the process of blockading any and all ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. And at some point, we will reach an all being allowed to go in and all being allowed to go out basis. Right. So tell us what you're trying to accomplish with this blockade,
all in,
sir.
All out. Yep. It's called all in and all out. There'll be a time when we'll have them all come in and all come out.
I know that time. There was a time where like all the ships were allowed to go in and then all the ships were allowed to go out. I think they called that like a little over 7 weeks ago. I think that was what was happening about, a little before right before we engaged in this war. I think that's kind of how the Strait was set up at that point. Like all the ships could go in, all the ships could go out. But now Donald Trump again is now blockading the Strait to hopefully get us back to that position that we were in before he took this war over with Benjamin Netanyahu. So again, the ridiculousness of this does not cease to amaze me. Never once will it cease to amaze me. And again, as much as we cover this and is like fucking, up to speed and up to date and on top of the ball we are, it's like it never ceases to amaze me how fucking stupid and erratic and fucking hypocritical this son of a bitch is. It's crazy.
But it won't be a percentage. It won't be a friend of yours like a country that's your ally or a country that's your friend. It's all or nothing, and that won't be in too long a distance. No, we're just
that won't be in too long a distance. Okay, so you can see how he's being really specific, which really goes to show us that he's extremely confident about his position, right? Fucking what? Come on, what is that? Give us that one again. What was that?
We're just bringing the ships up. We got a lot of ships, so we're bringing them up. We think that numerous countries are going to be helping us with this also, but we're putting on a complete blockade. We're not going to let Iran make money on selling oil to people that they like and not people that they don't like or whatever it is. It's going to be all or none, and that's the way it is. And it'll be, you saw what we did with Venezuela. It'll be something very similar to that, but at a higher level.
And
it'll be similar to Venezuela, but at a higher level. So again, he's going to seize the ships, or is he just going to hope that Iran's going to gift them the ships that they seize that are trying to leave the Strait? Do they think there's not going to be any strikes? They think there's not going to be any retaliation? Again, just putting more of our troops directly into harm's way. Again, making this a bigger project, making this more entailed, right? Making it so more parts and pieces and moving things have to happen, which entail is going to inevitably lead to mistakes and mishaps and problems. Again, the bigger this grows, the more problems you reason to see. It's not really, it doesn't take a genius to suggest or to think about what comes from more people involved, more ships involved, again, more players and more pieces moving around, especially when you have people that aren't going to want to play ball, that are, we're dealing with, millions and millions and millions of dollars. People are going to have some shit to say. It's just that simple. He's also, what's he saying here? He also talked about Maria Bartiromo asked, for those people who have not been following it close, can you explain why it is crucial for the U.S. to get into Iran? Can you articulate that? So easy. Easiest question you've asked me so far. They can't have nuclear weapons. They have nuclear. They want to enrich more. So again, Donald Trump not ruling out, looking seemingly boots on the ground here as far as Mark Levin was talking about and going in and getting the enriched uranium. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what sounds like to me and as far as this clip's concerned.
President, for those people out there who have not been following it as closely, can you explain to those people why it was critical?
Jesus Christ. She looks like the fucking substitute teacher nobody wanted, right? She looks like the librarian from hell at this point. It's tough. It's propaganda. It doesn't do well for you. You know what I mean? It's not good for the skin. Doesn't help the pores very much, apparently, right? Just the crow's feet really seem to soak in the propaganda. The lips really seem to soak in the propaganda. Maybe that's just wine. I could be mistaken. Maybe the propaganda is hidden somewhere else, maybe under the wig she's wearing, but maybe that's just wine in the lips. I could be wrong.
United States to go into Iran. Can you articulate what was behind that move that was so important for the U.S. to go into Iran?
Yeah, so easy. The easiest question you've asked me so far. They can't have nuclear weapons. They have nuclear.
Which we obliterated, about 7 or 8 months ago at this point. It's hard to remember. So much has happened. But again, totally, completely obliterated. We wouldn't even be speaking about this for at least another 10 years, where, again, they would just be scraping their way back. They would just be crawling their way back if they were lucky to have anywhere near the ability and capabilities as far as nuclear is concerned. Again, if we were going to take Donald Trump's word for it. But now, all of a sudden, boots on the ground is necessary. Equipment and possible fake, exfils are necessary. God knows you can't trust anything coming out of not only CENTCOM anymore, but also Donald Trump's mouth, the Pentagon, nothing anymore can be taken seriously at face value. It all needs to be fucking dissected. It all needs to be sifted through. And then you need to do multiple searches with multiple different outlets and organizations to make sure you can even line something up in today's day and age. So again, this sounds like Donald Trump not ruling out the fact that, boots on the ground and going in to get the enriched uranium is still a possibility. Again, if they don't come to some resolution, if they don't come to some agreement as far as, the talks with Iran, and again, Donald Trump hoping to strong arm, it seems like he's trying to use, the rhetoric that he's putting on True Social, now putting that into play, but in the blockade, seemingly possible that the military people around him that weren't too happy and weren't too kind of thrilled with his decision to go into Iran in the first place, maybe suggesting, hey, don't go after the energy infrastructure, don't go after the bridges and the roads and stuff like that. Like maybe there's another route, which, you know, I'm assuming somebody came in and gave him the blockade as an option, like a plan B or C, because it doesn't, you can guarantee it wasn't something created in Donald Trump's mind as far as that's concerned. But again, seemingly not ruling out the plan to go in and put boots on the ground if it comes to that, without an agreement to go in and get their uranium, which is, again, you know, something that's been on Donald Trump's mind for
what
a long
uranium
time.
is, right? It's a thing called nuclear weapons and other things. Like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things.
Some bad things are done with uranium, and some of them are nuclear weapons. I mean, just the genius. He knows more about that than anybody, so clearly. All right, let's see if there's any other clips from this asshole. This one, Maria says, you were criticized for this tweet because you said a whole civilization will die tonight. What do you want to say about that? Oh, geez, this should be juicy. This should be juicy. What's he going to say? Clearly, he's not going to walk it back. Is he going to double down? I didn't see this. Let's check it out. What's he say, the madman?
I want to ask you about that because you put out a tweet and it really gripped the nation a week ago.
The world, I'd say. I mean, I think it was a little beyond the nation at that point when, again, the president of the United States, the so-called leader of the free world, goes on to threaten the erasure, the eradication of an entire civilization that he's now engaged in a war with. I'd say that would probably grip the world, and did, because, you know, everybody was talking about it. It's made the rounds clearly, throughout international news outlets that were rightly taken aback by this and calling it out for the insanity that it was. So again, not just the United States, again, the world was pretty fucking taken aback by that.
When we were all waiting and watching for the United States' next move, should the Iranians not open the Strait of Hormuz. And you wrote this on Truth Social: a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, now that we have a complete and total,
You don't have to read the whole fucking thing, Maria.
Radicalized minds prevail. Maybe
Yeah.
something wonderful can happen. Mr. President, you were criticized for this tweet because you said a whole civilization will die tonight. What do you want to say about that? And what can you tell us about next steps?
I'm going to offer no pushback whatsoever. I'm going to give you the floor to go ahead and just ram that down everybody's throat one more time. I'm sure you're going to double down, right? Like, no fucking say, hey, that was a little fucking ridiculous. Probably not something a U.S. president should ever say. Like, that's something like Hitler and Stalin and Mao Zedong and Pol Pot. Like, it's something that them crazy motherfuckers, crazy lunatics would have said in the past. So, maybe don't say that. Like, not even a little bit of pushback by Maria. Just like, hey, people didn't really like this much. You said it. What say you? Like, awesome. Great journalism, you fucking drug hack.
Here, are you planning further destruction?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. That statement brought them to the table, with the exception of the one thing, which I believe that they're going to give up on. I believe they're going to give up on that pretty soon, to be honest, because it's not going to work.
Brought them to the table, also brought them away from the table without an agreement, seemingly with more confidence, more leverage on the world stage, and more power and control over the Strait of Hormuz. So again, if you want to come out and clown everybody to suggest that, like, that tweet, that little fucking message was what brought them to the table, well, it also apparently made them leave the table without any fucking agreements because of the assholes that you sent over there and their fucking incompetence as well.
We actually thought we had them, and then all of a sudden they said, no, we want. So, but I believe, no. And when I say that, but remember, what have they said to us? For years, I've had to listen to them say, death to America, right? They say, death to America, death to Israel, America, the Satan. We will destroy America, death to America.
So you might as well act like it, right? I mean, if they're going to call you Satan, you might as well sound like Satan, apparently, is what Donald Trump's trying to fucking get across here. Like, that's his thought. Like, if they're going to call you the devil, let's sound like the devil. Like, let's put out there that we're going to kill them all, right? Like, fucking at this point, he's, someone's going to have to break into his, like, where he sleeps, if he ever fucking sleeps, just to, like, I don't know, like, get him in a straight jacket at this point. What did we hear on the other day? Oh, whose show was it? Fuck. The guy that was talking about, like, the only way we could get Donald Trump out now would be, like, to tackle him. God damn, I forget whose show. It was a Republican show. Was it Alex Jones? Might have been Alex Jones. Might have been Alex Jones when he was talking about the 25th Amendment, and he had some guest on. I don't recall who the guest was. I don't think I was familiar with who the guest was to begin with, but basically was, and I think he was saying it somewhat facetiously, obviously, but, basically we're going to have to tackle this guy. We're going to have to hold him down, pin him down, basically handcuff the son of a bitch before he starts World War III. And then this is like, we're in some fucking serious shit here. I mean, not to say we're not in serious shit right now, but again, the option, the ability, the possibility for this to get much worse is still looming very fucking close out there. So, this is as bad as it is. It can always get worse.
Now, does anybody ever complain to you when they say that? I think that's a big step worse. Death to America. So they're allowed to say death to America. And what I'm referring to is, when I talk about civilization, it'll be much different because their military will be totally gone. It's pretty much gone now. But their military...
You brainless tit. When you say the civilization, that pretty much means everything. Gonna say the civilization encompasses it all. Like, you don't have to specify after you say the entire civilization. No reason to go into detail after that. I think we get the picture, right? I don't think there's really any fucking painting or drawing that needs to be done for everybody to be like, what does he mean by the entire civilization? Does he mean possibly like this? No, he means every fucking thing. That's what the civilization, all the things. That's it. So there's no like specificity needed here to get into as far as like what exactly. We know what the fuck you meant.
Leadership. We have had regime change because the people...
And not only that, but trying to compare, like, a protest or the Iranian citizens or civilians out there protesting and chanting death to America to, again, a statement by the president of the United States, again, supposedly the leader of the free world, is a little fucking ridiculous to compare at that point. I think we're kind of holding the citizens of Iran to a higher standard than the fucking president of the United States at that point in time, where it's like, oh, if it's okay for them to do it, it's got to be okay for the president to put online. Like, that's not how this fucking works. I can tell you that much.
With yesterday were, frankly, very smart, very sharp, very good, very good. I think they were smarter than the people from before, Khomeini and that group. Because look what it got them. Look what all of their antics were spending. They spent all their money on weapons. We've destroyed most of those weapons.
Well, apparently not all their money. Again, if they're going to be getting fucking $2 million per ship that's going to go through, or $1 per barrel, or whatever the fuck they're talking about at this point, they're going to have some dollars to count, right? They're going to be purchasing some money counters. I can tell you that much. And they're going to have some fucking dollars to play with as far as, I don't know, supporting their proxies, or again, setting up better relations with China. I don't know what it's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen from it, but it's going to give them buku dollars to play with. I can tell you that much. If in fact we do go through with this and they're kind of, they come out of this with the amount of control over the Strait that they now hold.
But when I say about a civilization, it really has changed. It really has. But think of it. They're allowed to say death to America, death to this, death to... I make one statement, they say, oh, such a big deal.
Yes, it is a fucking big deal. You absolute lunatic. You clown son of a bitch. Like, the fact that Maria's not like, hey, maybe as the fucking leader of the free world, maybe as the president of the United States, you may be wanting to hold yourself to a higher standard. Maybe you want to kind of hold back on the rhetoric like this, regardless of what, another nation or the people of another nation are saying. Like, again, the respect for the office is just never been there. The degradation of the office of the president of the United States has never, happened more rapidly as to any moment that Donald Trump has held that office. Again, the embarrassment, the lack of respect that the world sees and feels towards the United States, again, goes fucking downhill about as fast as you could possibly think every time that this guy gets back into fucking office. And again, that's just a consistent through line that we've seen even in his first administration. It's just the world does not trust him. Again, the second administration here has been a lot clearer, has given people a lot more evidence, a lot clearer examples as to why we were saying this in the first administration and even before he got into office. But again, this whole thing is just... it's getting crazier by the day, and the fact that people don't recognize that the United States president, or not people don't recognize, but the propaganda networks go on to try to defend Donald Trump's rhetoric and statements, and again to try to justify them by saying, oh, the Iranian citizens have chanted this, so they said this is just fucking flat out ridiculous, as you guys know. I don't have to go on to tell you that. The couple more of these clips, like I said, there's a ton. We don't have to go into too much more of this. I don't think I have the stomach for it anyway. again, if there's anything kind of substantial that would come out of this, I'm sure we'll hear about it at a later date anyway. So Trump says here, I predict that they come back and give us everything that we want. And I told my people, I want everything. I don't want 90%. I don't want 95%. I told them I want everything. They have no cards. Again, Donald Trump's just clear lack of ability to recognize reality, right? The fact that he continues to say that Iran has no cards while seemingly Iran has all the cards in the fucking world right now with their control over the Strait, with their control, and again, the threats of their proxies and the geographical areas that they could control, even above and beyond the Strait of Hormuz, which again, still hasn't to a large extent been a huge issue as far as that's concerned, but I'm sure, again, could play a substantial role if they wanted it to. But this is, again, just showing the the inability to recognize the situation that he's now gotten us into, which, again, doesn't bode well for any substantial or good decisions to come from this, right? Like if your military leaders and the leader of your country doesn't correctly recognize and can't pinpoint the situation that you're in, right, it's very difficult to then make a decision, again, based in, reality and based in a normal world. I'm speaking about this, not to suggest that Donald Trump would ever make like a rational decision. But again, in normal times, one would need their military leadership, or again, the leadership of their country, to recognize the reality of the moment, thus making a clear decision on where to go from there. That would be beneficial. Again, if you can't recognize the moment, if you're living, out in fucking space and you don't see the situation, you can't possibly make an accurate decision on where to go from there. So again, that just kind of leads us down the path of thinking that this is going to get more chaotic. It's going to get more disruptive, and it's going to get more dangerous before it gets better, right? I mean, that's just kind of where that's leading us. And I just want to see what bullshit he says on here. And then we'll dive on to a few of the other stories that we have, because I'm not going to take up the whole show with this asshole.
Hey, that statement got them to the bargaining table, and they haven't left. They haven't left the bargaining table. I predict they come back and they give us everything we want. And I told my people, I want everything. I don't want 90%. I don't want 95%. I told them, I want everything.
Well, and what they
have
want...
no cards, Maria.
Yep.
They have no cards. Their Navy is gone. Their Air Force is gone. Totally gone. They have nothing. They have no ships.
And again, the lack of shame, the lack of embarrassment for the United States president to continuously go on national television to talk about how they have no aircraft, they have no Navy, we've attacked 30,000 targets or whatever the fuck he says. We've eliminated this much of their leadership. Meanwhile, we're still behind the eight ball. Not only we're losing the war outright, but seemingly also indefinitely also losing the propaganda war, which we'll go into in just a minute. This whole thing, again, the fact that you don't see the embarrassment in that, and you don't see how it's making us look even worse when you go out there and try to propagandize people and talk about, again, the amount of targets you've taken out and how they have no military capabilities. Meanwhile, we're talking about downed F-15s. We're talking about downed A-10s. We're talking about U.S. bases being struck. We're talking about allies in the region being hit over and over and over again. We've talked about, what was it, UAE, and their totals were up to about 2,500 or 2,700, somewhere in that region, different drones that they've had to shoot down or that they've encountered. And again, forgive me if I'm getting that number wrong. There's been a ton of numbers reported, but a substantial amount of drone and missile activity that they've had to encounter, intercept, and again, some in a lot that have made it through the air defense system. So, all right, let's dive on to just to kind of reiterate and kind of go over maybe some sane minds and what they think is going to come from this. We're going to go over a couple of these short videos. One of them here is from Sky News. Again, to try to go outside of the United States just a little bit to kind of, get out of the routine of the mainstream media here and whatever kind of agendas that they have. Again, not to say that or suggest that no outside or foreign news networks or entities have agendas either, or aren't owned some of the times by the same people. But again, to a certain extent, they're typically better than Fox News is. They're typically better in talking about this in a more real way. So I'm just kind of curious as to what these people say. This one just happens to be on Sky News. But again, I think the way that they're speaking about this is based in reality. And the way that they're kind of going over this is something that, maybe we could get some insight from. So again, I just wanted to dive in. I think it's like a minute and a half of this, not too much. And then we'll dive on to, I think Preston Stewart is also talking about, he's also got one here where he's talking about U.S. declares naval blockade after Iran talks stall. And obviously with his military background, maybe we could get some more insight as to what that blockade is going to entail as far as exact movements, exact actions as far as like military interceptions and interdictions and stuff like that. So we'll dive into that next. I just want to see if there's anything we can gain from this this clip right here. So I appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that like button. My name's Brian. This is Blunt Politics. If you're just joining us for the first time, I really do appreciate you taking the time out to try to stay, on top of the news, to allow me to give you, the opinions and the facts that are out there. If you could hit that like button, if you find yourself kind of sticking around and watching for a little bit, you like what you're hearing, you liking the community, you liking the chat and the people in there, subscribe to the channel. It's free to do so. There's a ton of different ways in which you can contribute above and beyond that. There's a Venmo up in the corner here. If you take a picture, all we do is we ask for a buck or two from you guys, and anything beyond that is totally up to you. We are truly independent media here. We are not bought and paid for by any corporations. We do not have any sponsorships. We're not selling you any bullshit. We have our own merch store. We do everything in-house for us, by us, with us. And again, we're trying to stick to that. We're trying to stick to that business plan. It's not the most profitable by any stretch, by any means. It's not the best way to grow a channel very rapidly. But again, I do think it allows me to speak the way I want to speak, to cover the things that I want to cover. And that's very important to me. So again, no bullshit here. There's going to be no ads that are going to be breaking in the middle of the live stream or podcast. We don't charge you for the Substack, which is, again, something I'm finding out is pretty substantial as far as, I think it's like some people are charging, I don't know if this is universal, but I did see that some people are charging like $8 per Substack subscription, and they get 90% of that goes right to the creator. So again, we're trying to do things the right way. All of my content is free. Nothing's hidden behind a paywall. You can go to patreon.com. There's patreon.com/Boston Brian. There's 3 great tiers there that get you access to all of the Zoom meetings that we have every month, access to the discounts for the merch site, also the perks, the new perks that we've put up there for all of the members for Patreon. You can sign up just underneath me for a YouTube membership as well. Those are the backbones of this community. And again, you can go in the chat and send a super sticker or, a contribution through the chat as well. So thank you guys for all your help, your support. I'm honestly blown away by the amount of people that are going and getting the merch. The t-shirts are fantastic. I think the hats are fantastic. The sweatshirts, the quality, obviously the pricing. I don't think you can really compare it, because you go to some of these other, bigger lefty sites, accounts, won't, stick my neck out there and name any of them, but, they're selling some of their product for double, sometimes more than double. So again, we're not trying to rob anybody. We're not trying to buy Ferraris or anything like that. We just want to, maybe put some food in the belly, maybe have, a spot to call my own at some point would be fucking fantastic. But, with your help, we'll get it there. And obviously make sure you subscribe to the channel. All right, let's dive on to this real quick. I just want to see what they have to say about this news, obviously about Trump, threatening or, ordering the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz.
Here we get yet another Truth Social post from Donald Trump. I'd read it at the start of the program, but basically saying, apart from the language of blowing people to hell, that basically the U.S. will start its own blockade on the Strait of Hormuz. What did you make of this message, Sean?
I think what's been interesting, obviously, all this follows the breakdown of the talks. Although President Trump has said 99% of this talks was about the nuclear program, stopping Iran developing the nuclear program, the elephant in the room is clearly that the Strait of Hormuz is a really major thing. And at the moment, Iran still maintains control of those. Now, the very fact that he's come out with this, there was talk initially about some blockade. Now he's used some very colourful language to describe it. The harsh reality here is that this is all about control. The fact is the Strait is being currently controlled by Iran.
Iran decides who comes in.
Yeah, so if the Americans...
And I think it shows clear desperation, right? Let's just be honest. It shows clear desperation. It kind of shows that the nuclear aspect of this, as Donald Trump continues to come out and say, doesn't seem to be the most important to him. You know what I mean? It's not like he's sending troops in at this moment in time, whether it was a failed mission before. Obviously, we can speculate and debate that. But it doesn't seem to be something that he's ordering right this second. But he is seemingly ordering, obviously, this blockade of the Strait. So obviously that goes to point to that is the bigger talking point. That is the bigger pressure point as far as Donald Trump is concerned, as far as the U.S. Military is concerned, which is why they seemingly are going to, reallocate their assets into this mission to, again, blockade the Strait. And again, instead of going in and getting the uranium, or again engaging in more talks, or again in any way trying to get to a peaceful resolution or conclusion as far as nuclear capabilities are concerned. So again, I think this shows clear desperation. It's another example of the control that Iran has right now. They continue to wield it, and I think Donald Trump is desperate to kind of obviously break that connection, break that grip that they have on the Strait. And he thinks obviously now, or he's been told by somebody behind the scenes, whether it's Pete Hegseth or Dan Kane there, that a blockade may be his best way to do it. But again, that comes with added risks. Obviously, you don't have to go through the list of added risks, obviously, to not only the ships, but also the men and women serving on those ships. Again, considering that a lot of the countries here, or some of the countries here that we're talking about, are not friendly. What happens if you try to stop some Chinese ships? The whole thing is kind of, like I said, it's anybody's guess as to what directly comes next, what definitively comes next. But we only can go by what's being said here by the maniacs that seemingly are leading us into this fucking war even further.
Who comes in, it doesn't actually open up the Strait at all. It doesn't change the language. I think what he's doing is forcing Iran's hand, because he's saying, you've claimed there's mines in there, they may or may not be. I'm going to send in ships to clear those mines. If anybody comes and has a go at us, in other words,
well, there was also the report, and my apologies, I know somebody commented on the last that I stopped the clips too much, but with all due respect, it's people come to hear the commentary as well. If you wanted to just read the post, there's you can go to True Social yourself. So I understand to a certain degree that it's frustrating to stop the clips all the time, but if I have something important to kind of interject, then I feel like that's why most people are here anyway. So it's a give and take. So I understand to a degree, and to a degree I'm going to keep doing it. But yeah, as far as that's concerned, and again, now that I went into that fucking diatribe, I forgot what I was going to say. So fuck it. Looks like you won this time.
In the threat there, I'm going to have a go at it. But it feels like you're not going to solve this by the use of force, and time is not on President Trump's side.
Does the U.S. have that kind of naval power in the region that they would need to achieve this?
They do, but again, we've seen. It goes back to the point we made at the start of.
And again, I do think it would be a substantial uptick. You know what I mean? I do think it would be it would be a pretty noticeable uptick in the amount of naval activity that would be required, as far as, again, blockading the Strait, as not as small as the Strait is. Like, if you're going to be trying to figure out and board the ships that are going to be passing into the Strait and out of the Strait, like, it's going to require a bunch of ships. It's going to require a bunch of men and women, obviously positioned and located on those ships as well. So I think it's going to be a substantial uptick, and obviously the amount of ships within close proximity of Iran, and also the amount of naval troops and other assets, they're going to be now in closer proximity to Iran than they have been, considering we heard, and it's been reported, that the ships kind of pulled back to a certain extent as far as the talks were going on. So a lot to still be kind of determined from this. I just wanted to see if there was something that we could detail as far as, I think there was one here from the BBC, but let's dive into this one first. This is Preston Stewart, somebody that we're familiar with in coverage of not only the war in Ukraine, but also what's been taking place here in Iran with the United States and Israel. And he's talking about, obviously, this blockade as well. And I just want to see if there's, again, any military insight that he could give us as to kind of like further detail as to what this would consist of, maybe how many ships or how many troops. I haven't gone into this at all. I'm not sure if he gives us that insight. I'm just kind of hoping and speculating that maybe we'll get some answers or at least some clarity into what this would entail. And again, how big of an operation it would be, how much danger would be posed, those types of things. And again, if we don't get those answers within a few minutes, we'll see if we can dive on to another clip, because we got a ton to cover from here. Make sure you hit that like button. I appreciate this. And again, shout out to Preston Stewart for not only his coverage of the ongoing invasion by Russia inside of Ukraine, but also the news and what's going on taking place here in the Strait of Hormuz, and also with the the bigger war in general. So shout out to Preston.
So the U.S., Iran, maybe Israel, maybe Lebanon ceasefire is still in place, but the first round of negotiations have fallen through. No real tangible progress, which is understandable if you saw where both sides stood going in. There were a lot of indications that the U.S. and Iranian delegations felt that they had the upper hand, or at least a significant amount of leverage over the other to where they could probably exact more concessions. When both parties go into a negotiation like that, you have to expect this outcome, kind of a stalemate of sorts, no real tangible progress. Now, one thing we did learn yesterday, incredible and totally unexpected, is Vice President Vance, during his statements, verified the best place to go for your war and conflict related news. The best source in that regard, he said, is President. Truly humbling, Mr. Vice President. Thank you so much for that. And that clip is definitely not taken out of context. Now, I think it's worth starting with Vice President Vance's remarks. He's the one who led the American delegation in this regard, and he put together, it was all in like a 3-minute.
Again, the word delegation there is doing some pretty fucking substantial heavy lifting, if I do say so myself. The fact that JD Vance, Steve Witkoff, and fucking Jared Kushner was the delegation, I mean, just goes to show you the seriousness, or again, the lack of seriousness that is being, shown here by the Trump regime. Donald Trump's at a fucking UFC fight. Meanwhile, he's sending the second and third rate fucking assholes out there that got us in this position in the first place to go have this like half-assed negotiation for 21 hours to absolutely in no way, shape, or form come out any better than we were before the talks. So again, meanwhile, the Iranians sent pretty much the entire fucking country over there to make sure that they represented in good fashion.
For the cameras, I'll put the whole thing in the description below. But his first 30 seconds really kind of summarize, this is what we just did, what we failed to accomplish, and what comes next.
And he plays here JD Vance's statements and comments. We played them earlier in the show. If you want to rewind and go check them out, I'm not going to subject you to JD Vance twice.
Pretty straightforward, and that's largely the same type of language we're hearing from the Iranians at this point. So the Iranian speaker, Halibeh, said, quote, "My colleagues on the Iranian delegation raised forward-looking initiatives, but the opposing side ultimately failed to gain the trust of the Iranian delegation in this round of negotiations." A key component from the Iranian side that we've seen since this ceasefire was called into place, and really something—
Again, how can you expect them to trust the United States, right? Like, how do we expect these talks to work in the fucking first place, right? We were engaged in talks to begin with, and then we assassinated their fucking leader. And then we went on a fucking bombing campaign to eliminate their Navy and their Air Force and take out 15, 20,000 targets, right? We've killed, the leader that's now in charge. We've killed multiple family members of his. God knows how many family members of other leaders that are now in charge now, right? Like, what the fuck are we thinking? Why would they in any way, shape, or form take our word for anything or want to engage in actual talks? What's to say that they're not just engaging in now stringing this along, much like the United States was stringing the Iranians along in the first set of peace talks that they were engaged with before the war broke out, right? Like, what the fuck? What's to say that they're not playing you like a fucking fiddle right now to make sure that they can have, control and the grip over the Strait of Hormuz for as long as humanly possible, to make you feel the pain, to make us feel the pressure, and to make the rest of the world feel the pressure and pay the price for, again, the actions of Benjamin Netanyahu and fucking Donald Trump and Jared Kushner, so that Bibi Netanyahu couldn't face accountability and justice for his corruption trial inside of his own country, and obviously the war criminal trials he should be facing on the international fucking stage, right? And also Donald Trump to, again, get out of the headlines that he's involved in the fucking Donald Trump files with the side mention of Jeffrey Epstein. Again, that was kind of, that was thrown for a loop the other day when Melania came out with her press conference. But again, you know what I mean? The facts remain the same. You know what I mean? Nobody can really see. Actually, there was some speculation. Again, a little bit on the whole Melania thing. There was some, and again, I should have done more digging, but again, I didn't think I was going to dig in. I didn't think we were going to go into this, but there was some, apparently a woman out there that has some connections that we might be seeing or hearing some more from. You guys might know in the chat. There's often some brilliant people in the chat, always somebody smarter than me in the chat. I do believe maybe it was a Brazilian woman, if I'm not mistaken, whose husband had some connection in the past with Epstein and Trump, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll see if we can dig into more of that, get you more details in a later show on that one. But again, people speculating as to what the announcement by Melania Trump actually was all about. People having their different theories and stuff, and that was just one of them floated out there. So again, let's see what else we can get from this to see, again, what this blockade might entail, what the U.S. Navy and what kind of actions we're going to be looking at as far as the U.S. Navy is concerned. Are they going to be boarding ships? Are they going to be taking ships? Are they going to be firing on ships? What's the deal?
They've been beating for a while now, is they're saying, how can we trust you, the United States? And the context there is that the last two times they've entered into serious negotiations with the U.S. and at times Israel, it has led to two wars. So the first one, of course, the 12-day war this past June. The second time as negotiations were ongoing. Remember, I think it was the Qatari foreign minister that said we're actually very close to seeing some arrangement here. And then, Khamenei was killed like 6 hours later. So from the Iranian perspective, they're entering this with kind of a, you need to prove to us that we can trust you mentality. And that definitely is not a defeated regime, right? And we're going to get into that here in a second, but there's a lot
That's
of
another thing too. I mean, the way that they talk about, hey, the United States didn't gain our trust, right? That shows leverage. That shows power. That shows, to me, command over the situation. They, we didn't feel like they established enough to make themselves to come out as far as being trustworthy. Like they have to somehow show us and prove to us that they can be trusted again. And until that happens, we're not going to give in again, thus showing kind of, the hierarchy in the negotiations as far as that's concerned, thus showing, and again, showing, how both sides are coming out of this kind of trying to tout victory. Donald Trump, every time he gets in front of a camera, as we just heard from, his phone call with Maria, goes to talk about how we've achieved complete and total victory. They have no more Navy. They have no more military. Everything's been eradicated. Meanwhile, we're still in this position of having to blockade what is supposedly and what is effectively supposed to be international free open waters. But again, Donald Trump not willing to recognize the reality of the situation as far as that's concerned by any stretch of the imagination.
That Iran is going into this thinking they have the upper hand. Not just that they're still alive, but they are in a position to be able to dictate terms to the United States, which probably means that we're going to have to change up our strategy if we expect any sort of changes here. Now, the New York Times put out an article saying by early Sunday, 3 main sticking points remained, according to 2 Iranian officials. So recognize this is sourced exclusively, from the Iranian side, right? They say the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, the fate of nearly 900 pounds of highly enriched uranium, and Iran's demand that about $27 billion in frozen revenues held abroad be released. The United States had demanded that Iran immediately reopen the strait to all maritime traffic, but Iran refused to relinquish leverage.
I mean, just think of the possible fucking propaganda victory in that one, right? Just think of the possible propaganda victory in that one, right? The fact that the United States would have to potentially release, what did he say, some $28 billion in frozen assets, somewhere along those lines, in order to reopen the strait. Again, a strait that wasn't closed before Donald Trump enacted this war, went through with this war. So thus showing, the ridiculousness of us trying to now straighten out the problems that were only problems because we enacted this war in the first place. Like the whole thing is nonsensical. It's ridiculous. We're fighting from behind. We seem to be going backwards instead of forwards. Not that there was ever like forwards to be had as far as this is concerned, but now just the potential to have to give up or give back or again, give in to their demand of $2 million per ship in order to see the strait opened, or again, engage in further military action, or again, put our Navy in further danger by having to blockade the strait in order to gain some sort of leverage in negotiation status, whatever it may be. It's not a good look. These are all escalatory moves and things that are going to lead us into more instability on the world stage as far as quelling tensions and getting everything back to some sort of relative like even line, as it were. Doesn't seem to be in the cards in the future just yet.
Choke point for oil tankers, saying it would do so only after a final peace deal. Iran also sought reparations for damage from 6 weeks.
And again, just for the sake of time, I'm going to go on. I just want to see if he talks about or references the actual blockade itself. If not, we'll see if we can dive on to a couple of the other stories here. Let me just see.
Iran in broad daylight, right? And I think at times, and right now is one of them, we fail to understand how the other side is perceiving that. And in some ways, it looks like Iran is viewing this so far as not necessarily that they are winning, but they are far from having lost. And they still have a lot of things that they can leverage. Centerwitz says, quote, this leaves Washington with a difficult but unavoidable conclusion. The burden of recalibrating strategy rests primarily on the United States. That does not mean conceding to Iranian demands, but it does require a more sober assessment of what pressure alone can achieve and a clearer understanding of the risks embedded in escalation. The alternative is to continue operating under an illusion of leverage, one that recent events have already begun to expose.
The illusion of leverage. And again, to whatever extent, the military leadership right now is willing to, again, live within reality and give the president, kind of clear examples or clear kind of, plans as far as what's based on, what's going on in reality. doesn't really even bode well, considering we don't think we've seen nothing that Donald Trump would even accept that intelligence, would even accept that leadership, or accept kind of the the push that they're trying to give him to try to be more based in reality. Doesn't seem like he's willing or ready or able to come out and even accept those as far as plans, even if we did have somebody behind the scenes kind of being like, well, fucking hey, let's watch out here. Maybe we should go this route instead of this path. Maybe we should accept kind of where we are in reality, as far as instead of going out there and saying that we've attained overwhelming victory has been achieved and everything's been eradicated. Meanwhile, we're going out and saying that we're gonna blockade the Strait of Hormuz, which is inevitably, and let me just check here, let me see if it's had an effect already on the oil prices, because I'm sure the oil markets are going to react. Not to a huge extent that I've seen right now, kind of hovering around 95, 96 as far as WTI and Brent are concerned. So, but again, as far as the market reacting, it's done so pretty much almost every single time some major announcement. I know every time I went over there, it blocks me. But as far as like every time some major announcement it happens or any major action takes place, the market typically reacts. So we're kind of assuming that the market is going to have some sort of reaction to, again, the news of the blockade. Whether how long that takes or what it gets to or how much it affects it remains to be seen, much like everything else, as far as this is concerned. But again, let's go on here to this next category, this next set of stories, because it's impossible not to put the W in the category of the Iranians when it comes to not only the negotiations as far as leverage, but also the propaganda war. I mean, it's impossible at this point to continue to keep up with the amount of videos that are being dropped, whether Lego or otherwise. They've even started coming out now with like feature-length film type of versions where it doesn't even involve music. It's just like a straight 10-minute fucking skit of how ridiculous, insane, corrupt, and stupid the American administration is right now. So they've even started to kind of shift their focus and kind of spread their wings into like almost like feature-length film type fucking videos. But here's kind of one of the latest. I can't even, like I said, I can't keep track on what the latest one is, so I can't even say it is the latest. But this is one more here put out by, the Iranians as far as the Lego videos are concerned. This one is The Professor First, the Dog, it's titled, and I'm not sure if that pertains to the video or whatnot. But again, let's see if we can dive into this one, see what they're coming out with now, because they are hammering away at Donald Trump through these videos. They are hammering away at Netanyahu. They are hammering away at the connections of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. They're hammering away at the lack of support seen here in the United States for the war. Everything is kind of like based in some sort of news article or, based in reality or some sort of something that you can recognize as like, taking place right now in these videos. So check this out. Here's again, one of the latest, I'll say, Lego videos dropped by the Iranians here.
Class is in session, lesson 1.
Wait, I have a note from Bibi. He says we're the smartest kids in the class.
We have a 10-day plan to win everything.
It's brilliant, right, Professor? Sit down, Donald, you're failing.
Jesus Christ, that's a fucking scary image.
Sit down, Donald, you're failing. The Chinese media warned him. It's a trap for the blind. While the USS George Bush is creeping behind 70 planes in a 10-day frame, playing a stupid asymmetrical game. You're acting like a tough guy, a bashy's a rain clown, but the professor is ready to shut the class down.
I'm not a clown. I'm the valedictorian of Chaos University.
The Senate is voting. The leash is on your neck while the Zionist gamble is turning to a wreck.
How can a man with no history, no land, try to erase a civilization with a blood-stained hand?
His history is boring. I have a skyscraper with my name on it.
That's a civilization!
An artificial nation, a parasite's breath, trading a fake peace for a certain death. The professor is watching, the trap is already set, and the Zionist debt is a debt you can't offset. You're playing checkers, but he's playing chess, creating a masterpiece out of your mess. Asymmetric God, the professor of the Strait, while the Zionist puppet is sealing his fate. You offer a truce just to load up the gun, but the shadows are moving before you can run.
Wait, why is the shadow moving? I didn't give it permission. Stop it!
Tehran is the brain. You're just a battery toy, a fake little Zarang.
A Zionist boy! 8,000
in the war, but you hide the count while the Zionist losses continue to mount. Fox News is shaking the block. Has been
Ask Epstein, ask Trump. And it looks to be a burning Epstein Island in the back, as they've kind of depicted in a few of these videos. Epstein Island making, heavy appearances in these. Obviously, the Epstein connections, they're definitely leaning into as well. But ask Trump, ask Epstein on the headstones.
all the art of the deal is officially stalled. If Lebanon is burning, the peace is a lie. And the U.S. says George Bush is a sit and fly. You have no roots, you're just plastic and neon, trying to crush the spirit with a heart made of iron.
The professor doesn't move until the trap is shut.
70 planes, 0 brain. The school is over.
You're a ghost in the desert, a blip on the screen. The strongest trap is the one that isn't seen. The jungle law is rising, the roots are in the deep, while the artificial empire is falling asleep.
$98, the Strait is a wall. The bigger the bully, the harder the fall. You sold out your country for a Zionist dream, but you're drowning slowly in the professor's stream.
I'm a great swimmer. I have the best floaties.
Gold-plated floaty. The files are leaked, the soul is empty, while the toll booth of
files have leaked.
Just charging you plenty. Lesson over, you failed impeachment is your diploma.
Wait, can I do a retake? BB, tell him I'm smart.
Mark Root, call the principal. I still want Greenland.
Mark Root. So the NATO Secretary General that we've been ripping on recently, even making an appearance here, getting a call out, getting a mention, catching strays.
And it's a witch. Impeached.
Impeach.
Jesus Christ, they are just hammering this guy with these fucking things, and they haven't missed. I don't think they've missed. As dirty as I feel bobbing my head along, I don't think they've missed with one of these fucking things. Whether it's again the historical references, or again the news references that they make, the beat in general, the lyrics, the flow. I mean, it's difficult for me to say, but the propaganda war does in fact look like the trophy's going to the Iranians already. I don't see that the White House is catching up to this by any measure. And it goes on because, like I said, they're not even doing just music. We don't have to watch this. We're not going to go into this, but this is a fucking 10-minute feature-length film. I'll play like the first 30 seconds or something that should give you an idea. But again, this is 10 minutes of just straight Lego ripping on Donald Trump, ripping on fucking America. No music whatsoever, as far as I can see. Just like we're getting into movies now. Okay, this is how popular these things have gotten. I think I even just saw that one of the accounts, the Lego AI account, just thanked everybody for 10,000 subscribers on Spotify. Like, we're living in a fucking simulation, people, okay? We're living in the Twilight Zone at this point. Again, I feel icky, but again, what are you going to do? Again, okay, so the first 30 seconds, this is the puppet stage. The war wasn't real. The strings were. Now, just like I said, first 30 seconds should give you the gist of how this 10-minute, no music, feature-length film from the fucking Legos should go.
What is this? Who released this? Sir, it's everywhere. Good. Is this real? They're saying there are names to bear. Big names, Kabir.
Are the files real? Were you mentioned?
This is fake. All of it. Total fabrication. You have a situation. I'll handle it. You may need a bigger solutions.
Literally the meeting between Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump, where Benjamin Netanyahu convinces Trump that they're going to need a bigger situation. They're going to need a bigger fucking answer to the question, to, removing the headlines of Donald Trump's involvement in the Epstein files, which is like, hey, maybe this war would be a great, this is how detailed it is, and how they take the headlines and they put it right into these things. And this is, like I said, 10 minutes of this.
You're talking about war. I'm talking about focus. Focus? The world forgets quickly when something louder happens.
The world forgets quickly when something louder happens, right? So again, it'll be quickly erased from the headlines if you can give them something bigger. And if it's, if we can get this war to happen, if we can start this war, that will soak up the headlines. Therefore, they won't be talking about a corruption trial in Israel. They won't be talking about the international warrant I have for being a fucking war criminal. And you'll get out of the headlines as far as the Epstein files are concerned, right? Like the spot onness of this is not, as much as that's not a saying, a phrase, or a word, is fucking incredible. It really is.
Movement detected. They're preparing something. Let them. This will fix it. Right? Sir, this will escalate immediately. Do it.
Wow.
Yes.
So the general is telling him that it will escalate immediately, and Donald Trump ignoring them, saying, hey, just do it.
Will he go through with it? He already has.
Wow. And again, to the reporting in the New York Times where Benjamin Netanyahu came out of that meeting that he had with Trump, basically already knowing that he had him in the fucking palm of his hand, that he had already basically co-signed onto it, that he just didn't know it yet, kind of type of thing, right? Like, that's like, even involving that little fucking piece of information into this is just, again, showing you how detailed, how involved these things are, and how much they're hammering away at Trump at every single one of these. But like I said, this is 10 minutes of this called The Puppet Stage. The war wasn't real, the strings were. And there, I've seen a couple of these now. And again, whether they're coming all from the same source or whatnot, again, I can't confirm or anything, but they all are seemingly well done, consistently, pertaining to recent headlines and details that have been reported, like the whole 9 yards. It's been pretty crazy. All right, let's see if we can. I know we're rapidly running out of time here. My apologies. Hit that like button, guys. I really do appreciate you guys sticking with me, joining me throughout this chaos, throughout this journey that we've been on here to try to call out the propaganda, the lies, the bullshit of not only the mainstream media, but also the White House, Donald Trump, and the Republican Party in general. But let's see here. Speaking of the Civil War and the failure and collapse of the Republican Party, I did see that people were speaking about Candace Owens having a couple clips going back at Donald Trump, basically calling him a slave to Israel in a couple of clips here, basically saying that he is in chains right now and the entire world can see that. I think there was a longer clip here. Yeah, this one's here, 3 minutes and 47 seconds. But basically, you don't have to worry about it. I'll just read it right here. She says, Charlie Kirk personally told Candace Owens that Trump took $100 million from Miriam Adelson in exchange for allowing them to annex the West Bank. However, that's not all. While fixing his tie in the mirror, Trump reportedly muttered to himself, I'm going to take her money and then I will fuck her over. Only a few weeks later, Trump was grazed by a bullet in Butler, Pennsylvania. If Candace knows, did Miriam find out too? Is this why Trump never looked into Butler? Listen to Candace Owens and tell me what you think. Again, the conspiracy theories flying from these people, again, just grifting and hacking their way to hopefully superstardom in, again, opposition to Donald Trump when eventually and inevitably the MAGA cult ceases to exist, when it dies a very slow and painful death. These people are hoping to be right there, whether it's Tucker Carlson, whether it's Alex Jones, whether it's Candace Owens or Megyn Kelly or the rest of these people that have all of a sudden seen Jesus and they've seen the light now, even after January 6th, even after all the sexual, assault allegations that have come, from women against Donald Trump. None of that, and all of the list that we could go through, none of that was enough. But all of a sudden now they're seeing the light as far as Donald Trump's second term is concerned, even though, again, want to continue to reiterate, these people are directly and heavily responsible for getting us into this situation in the fucking first place. So do not let that escape, anything, because a lot of seeming like rehab to these people's image is trying to go on. I know that like Marjorie Taylor Greene's been on a few left-wing, not left-wing, but a few what would be considered left-wing networks. So again, not bringing up her past, not rightly calling out her shit that she said in the past, but just talking about what she's saying now, which is, again, giving people the opportunity, if you're just getting into politics and they see her for the first time, oh, she doesn't sound that crazy. She's talking about how stupid the Iran war is and the Epstein, like, no. This is Jewish space laser lady. This is, Muslims don't belong in the government. Don't put your hand on the Quran, bitch. This is her. Okay, so let's not forget what she's responsible for, what she's been involved in, her efforts as far as January 6th are concerned. So none of that needs to be or should be forgotten by any stretch of the imagination. But let's just go into this shortened clip here where Candace Owens goes in and has something to say for Donald Trump. I think this is, again, in response to Donald Trump's post about Candace and Alex Jones. Not 100% sure if that's what she's referring to directly or if it's, again, these the failed peace talks or the failed negotiations in Islamabad. But let's just see here. This is quick, less than a minute, 43 seconds. Candace going at Trump again.
You can't take money and things and stuff with you when you go, just your soul. And you sold yours for what? Another gilded ballroom? Let me be perfectly clear when I say this. Charlie Kirk, he died free. You will most certainly die a slave. Okay? You are in chains right now, and the entire world can see that perfectly.
And again, that's Candace saying that. That's not me saying that. I want to make damn fucking quite clear that it ain't me saying that. This is Candace Owens saying that Donald Trump is now basically a slave to Israel. He's basically bought and paid for, locked up in chains, and ready, willing, and able to do anything that Netanyahu says. So again, Candace Owens saying that, the well-known conspiracy theorist, the well-known bigoted, racist piece of shit, Candace Owens, again, that has now seen Jesus, seen the light. The light now shines upon these people with clarity that they have not seen in some years. Now that Donald Trump's second term is well into its second year now, and the wars continue, they just cannot help but see the light now. They're seeing the light down in the South. So again, Candace Owens, Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, these morons that are now trying to, again, firmly place themselves in opposition to MAGA deserve no credit, no respect, no empathy, no compassion, none of that shit. But I will absolutely use their words and their rhetoric against Donald Trump to our political benefit. So hopefully that makes sense as far as that's concerned.
At best, what you can hope for in this moment is that maybe one day upon the college campuses that you so deeply cherish, they'll teach all about your now tarnished legacy as the perfect modern day example of Plato's allegory of the cave.
Wow, now demolished. What did she say? Now diminished legacy. Not that the guy ever had a legacy, but again, she also has this kind of 4-minute clip where she's going on in, extensively about Donald Trump, but not to subject you to any of that bullshit. I think this is some of the clips that we played the other day on the show. I think people are also speaking about this little montage, again, just to kind of reiterate the hypocrisy of both, of all these kids, all these people, Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, Donald Trump now coming out against these people when they've said and praised each other so many times in the past. Again, this is less than a minute, so we might as well dive into this. This is a compilation, I think, of Trump talking about his critics. I don't know if this is him praising them and then also talking shit about them at the same time. Let's see if we can see here.
I just mentioned a name, but a woman who I saw the other night on television just ripped some poor idiot apart. Megyn Kelly is here, and she's doing. Come up here, Megyn. By the way, I'm having a great time up here. Are you having a good time? This guy, is he the greatest interviewer? Candace Owens, I watched her and I saw her coming. I said, I'm pretty good at star power. I say, that's a star. I just want to finish by saying your reputation's amazing. I will not let you down. You will be very, very impressed.
Donald Trump, let me say this. My audience, I'd say 90% supports you. Okay. Right. And you definitely have shown your knowledge of geopolitical systems.
So again, just to reiterate the hypocrisy coming from both sides now, not only the Alex Joneses and the Candace Owens calling Trump out, but also Trump now, calling out the other idiots as being, morons and never having talent. The same thing that he always does, like how he hired Joe Kent, to be like the head of counterterrorism. But then, when Joe Kent came out against Donald Trump, went on to say that Joe Kent had absolutely no sense of security. So it's like, okay, you're telling us you hired a guy that you thought had no sense of security. Of course, I'm paraphrasing. He said something along those lines. You hired that guy for the counterterrorism spot. That's what you want us to believe. So you're either ignorant, incompetent, and stupid, or you're just lying to us, about everything that you've said. So there's only two options as far as that's concerned. But all right, let's see if we can dive on to the next couple stories. We should have just about enough time to get into a little bit of this one. I want to dive into this Kaylin Robertson video, and we may not get to the updates as far as the front lines because, again, this is pretty big right now as far as the election in Hungary is concerned. Obviously, Viktor Orban's 16-year reign on that country in jeopardy. I don't know if there's been any news or anything to come out since we've been on, but I think this kind of gives us a good insight. Kaylin Robertson been doing fantastic fucking work. He was responsible for the video we showed the other day about him going into Kherson and following the ground troops that walk around Kherson that shoot down the drone teams that are walking around Kherson. So that's the same kid, same guy that's responsible for that video, now giving us kind of insight. He's in Budapest. Now talking about one of the more important elections to happen in that region in quite some time. Going to have really big impacts on what takes place and what happens in relations to Russia's invasion in Ukraine. Obviously, we saw J.D. Vance and Donald Trump throw their weight behind Viktor Orban, which goes to show you where the United States government lies in all this. Obviously, we know about Viktor Orban's fucking just complete and total capitulation and like just laying at the feet of Vladimir Putin. We heard about this October phone call where he just pretty much pledged allegiance again, basically said that anything that Vladimir Putin needed, that Viktor Orban would be more than happy and willing to help out with, again, showing the connection, showing the willingness to work against the NATO ally, the NATO alliance against Ukraine and against, again, the betterment of the allies of the United States in general. So again, shout out to Kaylin. Hopefully one day we can get him on the show. I'm shooting my shot. Believe me, I'm throwing out DMs left and fucking right to people, but you know what I mean? That's why I need to say we need the subscribers give us more weight to punch with. That's what I mean by that. Not only that, but like bigger guests we could get, more people more likely to respond to kind of requests and stuff, more people kind of trying to get on this show too. So the more we can grow the platform, the more subscribers we get, the bigger reach that we'll have as far as that's concerned. So, the help that you guys put into the show will be rewarded to you by better guests, hopefully, bigger and better opportunities as the show grows. So you guys help me, and then you guys will be rewarded in the end also. So I appreciate you guys, everybody that's helping out, everybody that's contributing, whether it's via Venmo, if you go to the Patreon, patreon.com/Boston Bryant's, 3 fantastic tiers on there. If one of them fits your financial capabilities, awesome. Thank you so much for the support. If not, ton of free stuff that you could do. You can throw an emoji in a comment in the chat after the lives are posted, which is 2 different things. If you watch it live, you can comment, but also after it's posted. So I'd like to say probably like a half hour, maybe an hour after the video is done or the live is done, it'll post onto YouTube. You can also go on and leave, a permanent comment on the video as well. That goes to help the algorithm. So if anybody could be, doing that stuff, helping out, all the little stuff helps. Again, check out all the videos and shorts that I've been putting out on Instagram and YouTube. Share those out. Anything you can help, anything you can do to grow the platform, help us grow the platform is very much appreciated. And also stick around to the end. Anybody that contributes via Venmo, anybody that sends in a super chat, anybody that gets their milestone gets appreciated, gets recognized at the end of every podcast, at the end of every live stream, bar none, no matter what. So stick around to the end so we can highlight that. But again, shout out to Kaylin. Let's throw this on here and see what we can learn here from, the atmosphere in Budapest, what the people in Budapest are feeling, what the people in Hungary are feeling. Are they excited? What's it looking like for Orban? Let's see if we can get some details. I appreciate you guys. Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava. Thank you so much to people that are supporting. Thank you so much to people that are watching. Anybody getting any of the Ukraine merch off of the website so that we can donate, a percentage of that to United 24 so we can help out with this fight consistently. So thank you guys. Head over to bostonbryan.com. There's a link on there for the merch site. There's also links on there to all of my social media accounts. And again, you can check out the show schedule on bostonbryan.com as well. So appreciate you guys. All right, let's dive into it. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the mods.
So there's tens of thousands of people walking right through the city center right now of Budapest. And people here are tearing down posters, Orban's posters, which are scattered throughout the city. And It's pretty unbelievable to see this. These posters have been everywhere throughout the city since the beginning of the campaign. So this sign is Ruski Kaza. It means
what's that? Russians home or something? Russians home?
Russians go home.
Russians go home. Shit. I wasn't off by much, but it was off by a lot as far as the way I was putting it. So my apologies. Russians go home. Big difference. Big difference.
Russian influence has been plaguing politics in this country. And honestly, most of the people that I've spoken to in Budapest are disgusted with the Russian influence that has plagued society here, politics and media.
That's another big piece of reporting. Good of him to touch on that as well, because the GRU influence, I should say, inside of Hungary right now, especially inside of Budapest, has been widely reported. Their misinformation, disinformation campaigns, their kind of attempt to try to sway power in effect and people's opinions to Orban is in fucking full swing right now, which is, again, a good thing to for Kalin to continue to bring up, is showing that, Russia hasn't stopped their kind of backdoor dealings, their influence in all of these surrounding regions to make sure that they can hold on to power and influence with the people that are in charge. So again, as to how much it goes to show as to how much power and pressure the United States has been putting on Putin, which is none. Which is, again, shown here by his willingness to continuously send his people, his soldiers, his security forces to try to disrupt or to affect change in different elections in these regions, like he's been known to do for fucking generations at this point.
So to truly understand all this anger and all this passion, we've got to go back to October in 1956, to this exact street. This street sounded very different. Soviet troops opened fire on civilians.
From Budapest, city of blood and bravery, tragedy and hope, come the first.
And this is saying here, I just kind of looked this up in the background just to see if I could get any of the latest updates on the voting itself. And this, I do believe that the polling stations have closed in Hungary, if I'm not mistaken. Was I fucking muted? Sorry. I know. My apologies. I'm here. Thank God I didn't get too much. I didn't get through too much. Thank you, Adam. Sorry. Everything's blowing up. My apologies. Sorry about that. One of these days I'll get used to why it's muting me and when it's muting me and how I can fix that. One of these days, I promise. But again, thank God I didn't get into too much of this. All right. So, as I was saying, because I'm not sure how much you heard, I was digging into the background to see just what the latest was on the on Hungary's election, and obviously, just in case you didn't hear, AP now reporting and others reporting also that the polling stations are closed in Hungary's election. And I was going on to read here that Hungarians cast ballots in Sunday's election in what is seen as Europe's most consequential election this year, setting a record turnout in a vote that could unseat populist Prime Minister Viktor Orban, an ally of U.S. President Donald Trump, after 16 years in power. And I was going on to say how funny it was that after Donald Trump and J.D. Vance went on to, give their support and put their might, put their fucking power behind Viktor Orban, it actually hurt Viktor Orban as far as polling was concerned. Like his support went down. His numbers actually went down and dropped after J.D. Vance and Donald Trump spoke at this little fucking rally that he had. So it marks a key moment for Orban, the Europeans' longest-serving leader and one of the biggest antagonists who has traveled a long road from his early days as a liberal, anti-Soviet firebrand to the Russia-friendly nationalist admired today by the global far right. Initial results are expected Sunday night, so we'll be diving into that, hopefully. The parties of both Orban and his top challenger, Peter Magyar, said that they had received reports of electoral violations, suggesting some results could be disputed by both sides. And again, this is playing right into the hands of the GRU. This is playing right into the hands of, again, the mis and disinformation, and again, Putin's people trying to affect some sort of change in the background. Again, the propaganda is going to be in full swing, so please be careful what you read, what is being reported, who it's being reported by. See if you can corroborate that. See if you can confirm it with other independent outlets or other outlets in general. Just be mindful, again, anybody that's going to be digging into details of this election, of what's coming from this election, any reports coming from this. Just be mindful of who you're reading, who you're talking to, who you're listening to. That's because it's definitely going to be in full swing as far as that's concerned. Orban 62 said the campaign had been a great national moment on our side and thanked activists and supporters for their work. I'm here to win. Let's see here. Nope, I don't want to do that. Voters showed up in droves. Turnout by 6:30 was over 77%, according to the National Elections Office, a record number in any election in Hungary's post-communist history. I'm curious, what was like the turnout typically? Do they say what a typical turnout percentage-wise is typically? I'm curious how much of a rise that is. But 77% substantial no matter what. It also goes on to say that Magyar said he and his TISA party were cautiously confident. He warned against any violence and called on supporters to keep our cool. I'm asking our supporters and all Hungarians, let's stay peaceful, cheerful. If the results confirm our expectations, let's throw a big Hungarian carnival, he said. So again, we'll be keeping close tabs on that as far as that's concerned. Because what they say later on tonight, we should be hearing some stuff. We should be hearing some updates, some details. So hopefully we get the best news out of that coming from that. So, all right, let's dive back into Kaylin's video. We might have to go a couple minutes over just to get through a couple more minutes of this, but hopefully that's okay with you guys.
Pictures of the battle which has shaken the world. Tanks fought against civilians and army against secret police. But one overriding desire unites the rebel forces, whatever their politics, the desire to get rid of the Russians and to work out their own destiny as a nation.
The revolution was crushed, but the violence didn't end. Tens of thousands of people were arrested, hundreds were executed, all for standing in these streets and demanding their freedom from Soviet rule. These were students, workers, teenagers. Families would wake up and someone was gone in the middle of the night. It's the same persecution that countries in the Baltics, countries like Ukraine, experienced for decades under Soviet occupation. And after that, for decades, this country continued to live under a brutal Soviet occupation. So these boots are all that's left from a statue of Stalin that used to tower over the center of Budapest. A tower that represented Soviet control, a brutal system that ruled every single part of life. And when the Soviet Union collapsed and Hungary gained its independence, they tore it down. And they moved it here to a lonely field in the outskirts of Budapest. And this entire park is filled with those statues of Lenin, of Stalin, of Soviet power and control. And for years and years, Hungarians believed that that system was finally over, and that influence had finally gone, that history had been left here. But power doesn't always disappear. Sometimes it just changes form. And sometimes it doesn't come back with statues or with tanks in the streets, at least not at first. Sometimes it comes back quietly. So this is a Russian embassy here in Budapest. Watch this. If you walk over here, the camera actually follows. If you walk over this way, let's see if it does it. It should turn. Yeah. The camera kind of turns and looks over.
That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. Is that just outside the Russian embassy? Or is that a thing? Is anybody in the chat from Hungary? Anybody in the chat from Budapest? Anybody in the chat traveled there? Is this something that happens like with all the cameras there? Or did he specify that this was outside the Russian embassy and this is where the cameras are tracking people? I'm sure that has some, accordance with AI, taking facial features. I'm sure that's just not following you just because it likes what the fuck you're wearing. I can tell you that much.
There are 47 staff working in this embassy, and 15 are linked to Russian intelligence agencies, and another half dozen are suspected. And this city is full of Russian operatives. They stay just down the road at the Kempsey Hotel. They dine at the Nobu restaurant in the city center. They are everywhere. There's even a story where one contact here is saved literally as FSB. So in the building behind me, they're not just diplomats, they're operatives. And these operatives are moving through Budapest quietly. And none of them are here for a good reason. They've been linked to intelligence operations, hacking scandals, spy and espionage, and even deeply disturbing contacts with extremist groups. So analysts for a long time have warned that Russian intelligence is embedded right here, more than anywhere else in the European Union. And none of this is diplomacy, and it raises very serious concerns and questions about nefarious influence inside a democratic system.
And not only that, but it goes to show you how much influence and how much cooperation that they get from people like Viktor Orban. Like, that couldn't happen. That wouldn't be able to take place without the direct knowledge, without the direct, permission of people like Viktor Orban to allow that type of shit to happen inside of their government, inside of their country, inside of their capital, right? I mean, it just goes to show you how willing he is to appease Vladimir Putin, how much control he allows Vladimir Putin to have, not only outside, but also inside of his own fucking country. And again, talking about their influence in the elections is something we need to continuously bring up as well.
And whether decisions are being shaped from the outside. And all of this, it forms a pattern of history here in Budapest. There's no tanks here, there's no soldiers in the streets, but power doesn't look like that anymore. It's quiet, it's deniable, and it happens in places like behind me. At one point, Hungary had to fight Soviet control with bullets and with tanks. And now, many fear that it's happening again, just in a different form.
We have evidence that there is Russian operatives working on media, working together with the Hungarian media. There are tons of evidence that Russian operation is working on Hungary and with other information tactics and troll farms and everything.
How does it actually look and feel like as a presence in a city?
Well, we have information that they arrived to the Russian embassy.
And again, that type of infiltration, right? Whether it be in the media, whether it be in, the broader media, whether it's independent media, newspapers, magazines, inside of governmental control, inside of the Russian embassy itself, like that type of infiltration doesn't happen without the clear consent of the leader, right? Like, you don't have that take place. You wouldn't, I know we've seen it to a certain extent, but again, they always have to do it behind the scenes, in the shadows, if they're trying to do it in other countries, if they're doing it in the UK. I know we can all point to stories and actions in all of these different nations that the underground, so to speak, of the Russian intelligence have been involved in. But again, it's always tried to be under the radar, whereas here it seems to be much more out in the open, much more widely known. They're at the fucking restaurants, they're out working in the media. They basically have FSB in their fucking, in their screen names and stuff like that. So it just goes to show you, like, the brazenness and again, the willingness of Viktor Orban to help Vladimir Putin, whether it's, in intelligence wise, whether it's militarily, or anything that would, again, benefit Vladimir Putin. And that in turn, Viktor Orban could gain favor from, get money on the back end from, whatever it is. That's why we need very much Viktor Orban to be voted out, and hopefully we don't see any, substantial fucking funny business, to put it mildly, by the GRU, by the Russians in this, and hopefully there's no, violent uprising or anything to come from that. Though we'll have to keep our eyes on that as the day progresses. Obviously, later on tonight we'll be hearing more on that. All right, let's save this. Let's save this next one. We're going to dive into this next military show, talking about Ukraine's effectiveness, and again, continuing to hit the lifeline of Russia, which is obviously their oil infrastructure, their oil refineries, Ust-Luga, what was the other one? Primorsk, as far as those are concerned, and others, obviously. But I like to give it the attention it deserves, and I don't want to have to fly through this. I know you guys have other things to do, and I don't want to be stepping on the toes of any other creators or anything like that. So we'll save that. We'll do that. What's today? We'll do that shit. Maybe I'll come on tomorrow at some point. Again, that way we're not, a day behind, $1 short as far as Tuesday is concerned. Maybe we can get through some of the, Ukrainian frontline updates. Obviously, if there's anything to update you on as far as the, the blockade, the ongoing talks or lack thereof, between Iran and the United States, we'll dive into that. We'll see how much news is out there, and again, what time everybody else is on. But probably better off that we don't just try to rapidly fly through that. So what do you say we get into thanking some people? We'll get into the Venmo side of things. Thank everybody that was kind enough to send over $1 or $2 on Venmo to support the show. Again, goes a long way. Again, I can't really express enough how much it is dependent on how much you guys support the show, whether or not we're going to be here, whether or not we're going to be sleeping on the streets at some point. So again, if you have $1 or $2, if you enjoy the show, if you find some value, if you find it to be informative, educational, if you just like the chat that we've built here, you find a good community in the chat, think about kicking in $1 or $2. It really, really goes a long way to help. So, all right, let's get into thanking some people here. I want to thank, first off, Allison M. Thank you so much for the $10 contribution on Venmo. You are a saint, and I can't thank you enough. Let's fucking go with the lobster. Allison says, thank you so much, Allison. Appreciate you. Thank you so much to Tom. Tom yesterday, the other day for his substantial contribution as well. Thank you so much for everything that you do. And then people over the last couple days, I always want to make sure to reiterate, thank you to Rochelle. Thank you to Geneva. Thank you to Damon. Thank you to Jenny Faye. Thank you to Allison again. Thank you to Heidi. Thank you to Nance. Thank you to Moms. Thank you to Yakov. Thank you to V Sawyer. Again, people over the last few days that have been kind enough to kick in $1 or $2 on Venmo. You guys are really the backbone of this community, and I can't thank you enough. Let's see if we can hop over here to the YouTube side of things. Thank you so much for the $10 contribution to start off today. I very much appreciate you. I'll just say MT. I'll say MT. Thank you so much, MT. Thank you so much, Wes. Very much appreciate you. Happy Orthodox Easter, Wes Webb. Much appreciated for your contributions. Thank you so much for your viewership. Appreciate you being here and coming back time and time again, my friend. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much to Colleen. Very much appreciate you, Colleen, for everything that you continuously do for this show. Colleen says Trump is reliving his casino days with the quote, "You don't have the cards" statements, typical with the Alzheimer's dementia. Past memories occupy the present from experience in memory care. So again, I'm sure to a large extent, you're absolutely correct on people kind of reverting to what they know in their childhood and things that are like ingrained in their brain. So again, kind of this maniacal rhetoric in the terms of, you don't hold the cards when in fact they do have all the cards, I'm sure comes from some place like that. So I'm sure you're not far off on that one, Colleen. Very much appreciate for your contribution. Thank you for your comment. Love you for that. Thank you so much, Romulan 007. Good to see you, my friend. Shaken, not stirred. Everyone buy stock in Depends diapers. Why, you see something coming that we don't, huh? What do you have, a bad fucking cheeseburger or something? Let me know, because I'll throw some money in that. I'm desperate at this point. I need some backdoor information, right? I need some I need some stock tips. Let me know. Give me some stock tips, peeps. Come on. Well, no, thank you, Romulan. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you to Blue State Champ. Let's go, brother. Appreciate you. Thank you for the 5. Shout out to you. Big salute. Thank you for being part of the opposition, part of the resistance. I don't think Trump has the attention span to write even these insane posts. Again, a lot of them we know come from other people recite, other people typing them. I'm sure to an extent he's like reciting them, sitting in some fucking, booth in Air Force One, surrounded by fucking, McChicken wrappers and double cheeseburger wrappers and shit, just telling like his people what he wants them to write. But, you can usually tell the capitalizations and the exclamation points and the different grammar, the different, mistakes in the grammar as well is typically a clear sign as to who's writing that. But he goes on to talk about how he doesn't have enough time to call people, but then can write 7-page booklets and paragraphs on True Social about everything. But Blue State Champ, I appreciate you very much. Thank you so much for the 5. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate your support more than you could possibly know. And I hope you have a wonderful fucking day. Thank you to Yakov as well for the 5. Appreciate you, brother. I got to take off. It's my son's birthday. Let's fucking go, Yakov, son. Let's fucking go. Let's go. Happy birthday, brother. Happy birthday. Hope you have a great fucking day. Why I'm swearing saying happy birthday to a kid, I don't know. My apologies. But I do hope you have a happy birthday. Thank you so much, Yakov, for being here while you could. Thank you for everything that you do. And please relay on the happy birthday minus the swears to your son. That would be fantastic. So we'll see you Tuesday, if not tomorrow, in case I pop on. Thank you, Yakov. Thank you to BH. Thank you to Bry Guy. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you for the 5. When you let the apprentice sweat the pipes and the whole job leaks and goes to crap, this is the outcome of it all. Trump and Devin's Shitbag Incorporated. Again, very apt comparison. Very apt comparison. It's like it's kind of like what's happening right now, right? We left the guy that has absolutely no experience whatsoever to basically rebuild the piping in the country, and then we came home and the whole house was flooded, and everybody on the side that hired the guy was like, "I wonder why this happened. Why are the fucking floors ruined? Why are we swimming in our basement? Like, I wonder. Like, just take a look at the guy you hired, maybe. Right? But thank you, Bri. I appreciate that. Hope you have a great day as well. Thank you, Melissa, member for 21 months. Let's fucking go. Eric Swallwell must resign now. Absolutely. Like I said, I think that should be very easy for everybody on our side to demand, even withstanding the investigations on the more serious allegations. I think just kind of the improprieties and the unprofessional nature of the way he's acted, the way he's, again, utilized power over the subordinates, over the females that he has working in his campaign, in his staff, on his staff, I should say. Again, just goes to show the I don't know what you'd want to call it, the psyche of somebody we don't want to have leading, again, one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful states in the country. Again, seems to be a path. It seems to be something that was well known. A lot of people referring to this as like an open secret on Capitol Hill. Again, I'm not involved to a large extent or any extent to what takes place on Capitol Hill, like the backdoor dealings or the whispers. I don't get invited to the Democratic progressive, the Democratic creators parties or anything like that. So I don't hear the whispers and the rumors on Capitol Hill, but kind of weird to hear a few accounts come out there and say that this was well known. Meanwhile, they hadn't reported on it, right? If this was well known, if this was like an open secret, you're kind of telling on yourself that you knew about this and didn't come out and say anything previously, right? So again, I'd kind of watch out for anybody that's kind of putting it that way. Just why you wouldn't report on that, why you wouldn't be talking about it if it was like this well-known secret, this secret that everybody knows that's not a secret. Just again, kind of makes me question your intent, your agenda, and again, your principles as far as that matter is concerned. But Melissa, right there with you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Thank you for the loyalty. Thank you for the support for 21 months and ongoing. Let's fucking go. Thank you to Tim Shed's Worldview. Let's fucking go, brother. Tim Shed's Worldview with the $2 contribution. Salute to you, Timbo. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for your contribution. Now, that just reminds me of, what's the guy's? The guy that's got the camper on the back of his truck. Camper Life. Fuck, now I can't think of the channel. I watch it all the time. I can't think of the name of it. But I think his name's Tim, and he's got a shed on the back of his truck. Why that just reminded me of that, I don't know. But that's where we are. That's where I went. So, Tim, thank you very much for your contribution. Very much appreciated. Let's see here. Easy Rita. Let's fucking go. Thank you so much for the $20 contribution, dear. That's amazing. If it weren't for that hate mongers, incompetence, corruption, and stupidity, he would have nothing at all. Amen. Second that. That's about all he's showing every time he opens his goddamn mouth, every time he's in front of a camera, got a microphone in his face. It's one of those: corruption, stupidity, incompetence, and I'm sure there's a lot more that we could add on to that list that correctly describes Donald Trump in this moment. So thank you, Easy Reader, very much for that $20 contribution. Very much appreciate that. Thank you, Nola, for the $3 super sticker. Appreciate you, Nola. Thank you so much for always being here. Thank you for always contributing. Very much appreciate you. Hope you have a great day. Stoneflower Dragon. Let's fucking go. So now are we blocking the Strait? Yes, we are, apparently. Again, what that exactly entails is anybody's guess. Really not too much details as far as I saw released, just kind of the maniacal fucking true social statements of Donald Trump. So we'll see if we can continue to cover that. Obviously, that's going to be a big deal. Obviously, a lot of people are going to be speculating and talking about what's going to come from that as far as, actions by the U.S. Navy and also the retaliations by the Iranians because of it. So thank you so much, Stoneflower Dragon, for what you do. Thank you, Moms, for the 5. Let's go, Moms. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well, my dear. If you need anything, if you want anything, if there's anything we can do for you, you just let us know. And thank you so much for everything that you do. Thank you for being here for so fucking long, supporting for so long like you've been. We love you. We appreciate you. And we hope you have a wonderful goddamn day. Thank you to Shovelhead, $4.99. Let's go. Thank you so much for the $5 contributions. Thanks for reminding me, Mom. Is that Moms's? Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought it was like Mom's daughter or son that was commenting after, but I think he was just saying thank you for reminding me, Moms. All right. I thought we had a family affair going there. not a fair the way. All right. I thought we had a family moment. Let's just put it that way. All right. Thank you, Shovelhead. Very much appreciate you for the $5 contribution. Right back at you. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you have a wonderful day. Well, along with everybody else, if I could speak, it'd be great. John's Rage. Let's go. Thank you so much for the $10. Keep up the good work, Brian. No, you, John, keep up the good work and supporting channels like this, staying active, staying aggressive, staying supportive, right? Staying informed, staying educated on all of these things. Without you, John, and people like you, these shows would be absolutely nothing, and I'd be pissing into the wind, and again, in a very strong hurricane. So there'd be no reason for me. I'd just be speaking to myself. So it's all because of the help and the cooperation and the support and the love and the loyalty and the friendship that you guys have shown that we're able to continue to do this. So, John, I continue to show everybody in the chat all the respect in the world for being able to stick with this and stay active as it pertains to the resistance and the opposition. So thank you, John. Hope you have a great day, my brother. Thank you, Deb. Thank you so much for the one gifted membership, Deb. You are fantastic. What an absolute saint. You and Ruben together. Thank you so much. Make sure we're reaching out to these people, obviously, in the chat, giving them W's in the chat for all of their contributions, whether it's a milestone, a gifted membership, a contribution, whatever it may be. W's in the chat for all of you fabulous fucking people. Thank you so much to Ruben and Deb. Thank you so much to Mama Brooke. Let's go, Mama Brooke. Good to see you. Grateful for 15 months of Brian and his crew. We are all together in this, Mama Brooke. So it's not my crew, it's our crew. Thank you so much for being here for 15 months. And I feel like it's been longer than that, too. So thank you for everything that you've done for the channel. Thank you for continuously coming back and supporting us. It doesn't go unnoticed, and it is very, very, very much appreciated. So, Mama Brooke, have a wonderful day. Hope the sun's shining where you guys are at. Thank you so much to Kathleen. Kathleen also been here for 21 months. It's so good to see you guys hitting milestones like this and seeing how long people have been around. Thank you so much for your message. Slava Ukraine. Kathleen says, Heroyam Slava. Right back to you. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for your contributions. Thank you so much to Jim the Geek for 23 months. My favorite number, 23. Let's fucking go. Love Brian and the Lobsters. Right back at you, Jim. Thank you so much for everything that you've done and continue to do. Thank you so much for staying involved. Thank you so much for your passion, your humor as well. Thank you so much for all of all of the time we spent together in the Zoom chats and stuff. I really do appreciate it. It goes a long way. It really, really does. So thank you, Jim. Thank you so much to MT again. Member for 10 months. Let's fucking go. He said the guy whose video you played has great content. Kalen Robertson has fantastic content. Absolutely would highly recommend anybody who is not subscribed over to his IG or his YouTube page to check out Kalen's work. He does fantastic work. Again, talking about the war in Ukraine, obviously the subjects surrounding that, covering what's going on in Hungary and Budapest. So he does absolutely fantastic work. So definitely highly would recommend people check out his content. There's a ton of people out there making great content like that at the moment too. So shout out to Kalen for what he does. Thank you so much to Ruben for the one gifted, my brother. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Very much appreciated to always see you in here, gifted memberships, contributing however you can. I do thank you very, very much. Thank you, Jenny Faye, as well. Love to the cool kids in the chat, the Marvelous Mods, and, of course, Brian and Fam. Right back at you, Jenny Faye. We love you. We love you, dear. As always, we very much appreciate you and your contributions, you and your fantastic support that you've shown us. I can't thank you enough. The both of you over there. Thank you so much to both of you. You're fantastic, and you know it. So appreciate you, Jenny Faye. Thank you so much to Masha. Let's go, Masha. Hope you're doing well, dear. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for gifting. Thank you so much for contributing. You are a fucking saint, and you know that as well. You guys, I don't have to tell you twice how awesome you are. Thank you so much to William for the $2 super sticker. Thank you so much to DPD and William. You guys are fantastic. DPD, thank you so much for the $20 contribution. Boston Brian, have you ever heard of the Mayday Network? I think you guys would make a great collaboration and try investing in Berkshire Hathaway stock is affordable, or try a high yield. Oh, you're giving me advice. Shit. Thank you. I appreciate that. Now I just need a couple fucking pennies to rub together to put into it. I got the info. Now I just need to go outside, find a couple nickels, scrub them together, and fucking invest, right? I appreciate that. But have I ever heard of Mayday Network? Mayday Network. Typically, like if I saw it, it might ring a bell. As far as the name of it isn't quite ringing a bell right now, but I will certainly check that out. I don't know, is that like an investments channel, or is that separate to the investment opportunity that you gave me there? Let me know. I'll see if I can check that out. I'm assuming it has a different meaning, a a different topic that they cover other than stocks and yields. I'm just throwing it out there. But thank you so much, DBD. I appreciate that very much for your kindness, your contribution, the information. You guys, I mean, just always contributing like you are. It's fantastic. So very much appreciate you. And thank you to round it out today to Roxanne, 1979. Let's fucking go with the $2 super sticker. Very much appreciate you, Roxanne. Thank you so much. I got the email from the person you sent my way as well. I don't want to dox anybody or give any information that isn't meant to be out there, but thank you so much for sending them my way. Very much appreciate it. To everybody contributing, again, all the people that send the emails, anybody that's contributing and trying to figure out, kind of a permanent intro or exit song. We're still kind of fiddling around with some of that things. We're hoping to get more of a permanent show set up. I know some people like the intro that we got now, and a lot of people like the exit that we got now. But would like to make it more, noticeable, more kind of attention grabbing, or kind of more consistent. I don't know. You guys let me know what you guys think in the chat. But thank you to everybody for your contributions. Very, 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 very much appreciated for everybody and what you guys do for this channel. Again, it doesn't go unnoticed. It is very much appreciated, and it can only happen. This channel can only continue to grow. Can only continue to grow with your help, your support, your generosity, you recognizing some sort of benefit to watching this show. So again, you guys that continuously come back time and time again, whether it's every show or a couple shows of the week or one major show that you like watching, thank you. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for hitting that like button. Thank you for following me on Instagram. Thank you for subscribing on YouTube. Thank you for checking out the Patreon. Thank you for buying the merch. I really do appreciate it. And like I said, one of these days it's going to take off. One of these days we're going to go straight to the fucking moon, straight to the stratosphere. And again, all of the pressure will be taken off of, the fabulous people that have been supporting me for so long now. I don't know. I feel really, really badly that we haven't been able to grow the platform a little faster to take that focus off of you guys. So we're trying. We're going to be putting out more shorts, more clips on Instagram, more shorts on YouTube and Blue Sky and all of the platforms and threads and stuff like that. Check me out on Substack. Check me out in other places. So I appreciate you guys. I'm Brian. This is Blunt Politics. Really do hope you guys find some value in the show. And if you do, think about subscribing, think about kicking in $1 or $2. I would really, really, really appreciate it. So thank you guys. Thank you to the mods for all that you guys do. I can't thank you guys enough for all of your support. Thank you for helping me build that community up to the safe place that it is for you guys. I really do appreciate it. Let me see if I can get that off there. So thank you to again, all the mods. Thank you to everybody on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. And sorry about it. I'll have to figure out what happened on Facebook. Seemingly it was the only platform that had a problem with anything that I played today. So I don't know, maybe that was a glitch or maybe something happened. I'll see if I can check that out. But my apologies to anybody that wasn't able to continue watching on Facebook. We'll see if we can check that out. All right, I'm out of here. I will see you possibly tomorrow. We'll see tentatively tomorrow. See if there's a show that I could put together. See if there's anything we need to cover or report on. That way we don't have to wait till Tuesday, right? There's too much shit going on to miss another day. That way we'll be so far behind. All right, I'm out of here. Hit the like button on the way out. Thank you guys so much. Again, I'm Brian. This is Blunt Politics, and I do appreciate yourself. And, as we always say, to the GOP, give them a big old...
Go fuck yourself.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Hit that like button on the way out. All right? Thanks. Yeah, is Pops in the chat? Pops hasn't been feeling well. So, again, if he's in the chat, I hope he feels better. Again, I know he wasn't feeling well this morning, so wasn't expecting him to make an appearance today. So, Pops, if you're in there, love you, appreciate you. Hope you're feeling better, my brother. All right, thank you, guys. Hit that like button on the way out. Again, I'm Boston Bryant. This is Blunt Politics. Make sure you throw a comment on the video after it posts. Make sure you like the stream, share it out if you can. All the good stuff that I know you guys like to do. So, all right, I'm out of here. Peace out. We're going to see you later on either tomorrow or Tuesday. But until then, stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive. But make sure you're staying safe out there. If you're getting out to any protests, if you're getting out to any kind of demonstrations, make sure you're keeping your head on a swivel. Make sure you have a couple people around you to make sure you're watching your back. We saw at the I believe it was the Whipple building yesterday or the day before, kind of some skirmishes take place, and now we got the deputy AG looking into more leftist creators for something that they absolutely didn't do. So just be careful out there. Be mindful of who's around there and what shit they're trying to start. And again, make sure you have some people that are watching your back at all times. So, all right, I'm out of here. I appreciate you, and I will see you on the next one. Oh, thank you, Corey. Thank you so much. Very much appreciate that. That's amazing. Good to see you. Thank you so much for that contribution.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated? Never fight uphill, me boys, never fight uphill. They were fighting uphill. He said, wow, that was a big mistake. He lost his great general. And they were fighting, never fight uphill, me boys, but it was too late. We're a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat you.
You know what uranium is, right? This thing called nuclear weapons and other things. Like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things.
Brian, you're drunk. You're drunk.
Call them dumps, big massive dumps.
Refer to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small.
Here you got a little chubby going there.
Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
Where you going? Nowhere.
I'm standing up here bashing the living shit out of Nazis.
Fucking Nazis.
You know, they're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated?
He says, wrecked him, damn near killed him.
White people are a mortal danger to you and your loved ones.
Cacophony, a crescendo, a finale, a coup de grace.
How do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president? Seriously, how do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president?
Bad news, bad news. Even when it's good news, it's bad news.
You'll have a group of Venezuelan killers, street gangs, occupying the town with MK-47s. I know that gun very well. I got to know it very well.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.